Uh, I think we're live. Yes, we are live. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back in with another live stream, and we are back doing a live reaction to a Christie town hall. Yeah, I'm gonna suffer through another town hall of Christie's. So, yeah, hope everyone's having a phenomenal day, night, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I certainly am having a great day myself. And, yeah, you're gonna react to me suffering through another Christie town hall. I mean, why? Why are we here doing a reaction to this? Oh, man, it's not gonna be fun. It's not gonna be fun whatsoever. Now, before we continue with today's live stream, I hope you enjoy these type of streams. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the Twitter accounts in the description down below, guys. Go follow Real American Politics on Twitter. It is a great Twitter account everyone should follow. Of course, follow the Rumble page down below for exclusive content. And of course, join the channel today. Guys, just for $3 a month, you could join Real American, which is a phenomenal deal, as help support the daily content we all know and love. You love the daily content? Well, this is the best way to support it. So I hope and recommend you join the channel today. Also, if you want your questions for sure answered, the best way is to send a question via Super Chat. Also, if you just want to support the channel, send a Super Chat, but if you do got questions, I will try to get through all of them. But best way to get your question answered and or support the channel is by sending a Super Chat. So I hope, right, and hope everybody enjoys this, and I'm gonna, oh man, this is gonna suck. This is absolutely gonna suck. This disaster known as Christie. It just is. Let's see. Talk to Nancy Mace's VP. I'm not going to. To be determined. I'm not going to look into it much because it's probably fake news. So, yay. Cringe at -10. No, we're not. No, he doesn't get any negatives. Let's see here. What states would Zeldin help Trump win if he was a VP? I think it would help with Georgia, Arizona, say like Texas. I think Nevada would be an underrated one. He would help with the Reno vote. Oh boy. Yeah, this is going to be certainly a stream of our time. So, hope everyone enjoys. Oh gosh. This is going to suck. Ryan Cook. Amanda Chase wants a recount. Of course she does. Are we really surprised by this? I don't think we are. Let's see. Cringe Crispy Part 3. Yeah, this is the third Christie stream. Be prepared for a... Oh, I don't even know what to say. What do we describe these streams? Anybody? What do we describe Christie? Let's see here. Rap update, pain. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell right now. Just pain. Chaos. I honestly think this is just painful. Is this on CNN? No, so this is apparently on his own channel, so it's free for everybody. And again, yay. What's wrong with Ryan Cook? Everything. You and Kelvin Coolidge and Red Eagle and Redline are amazing. Support independent media over Fox Bozos. Thank you very much. Yeah. If you want to support the channel, you know, liking the stream, sharing it with everybody you know, and of course join the channel. That's the best way to support it. Also, send just like this. Wholesome DJ Aftershock for 2. When Ron DeSantis campaign door knocks, but it's Ryan Cook. Well, didn't Cook get fired? And that's what happened? He got, like, blacklisted? I heard about this for a while, but I had to keep shut about it. I couldn't say anything, but that's what I heard for a while. You could ask people I know. They told me ahead of time. Rap therapy session. Oh, gosh. This is going to suck. Free suffering. It's free content. This is why I'm doing it. It's free content, and yeah. You guys enjoy these streams, so we're going to keep doing them. We're going to always keep doing some streams. He got fired and blackmailed by South Cal populace. Yeah, I saw that. Why are old DeSantis supporters on Twitter so pathetic? Not all of them. There's a couple good ones. Like the, what's his name? Jason Myers stan? The Attorney General of Virginia. He is the, there's a Twitter account that's standing him. He's a Chad. I recommend you go follow him. Why can't I think of his name? Free content and suffering. Yeah, it's Jason Myers. Myers, however you say his name. Hey. Don't do that. Okay, it's Myers, sorry. It's the Attorney General of oops, clicked down on accident. Whoops. It's the Attorney General of Virginia. There's a guy that's named after him on Twitter. He's really cool. Why can't I think of his name? Jason Myers fan. Go follow him. It's at Bluefish13H. He's really cool. Yeah, that's his name. He's pretty chill. He supports DeSantis, but he's like cool about it. Thoughts of Christie becoming Kirby from the Kirby games. No comment. No comment. Do you think Christie provides free food for himself? Oh, gosh. Yeah, when is he going to start? This was supposed to start 2 minutes ago. 2 minutes of my life already gone. There's Katie Britt Stan, too. Yeah, there's a lot of DeSantis supporters on Twitter that are chill. There's a couple of them are freaking lunatics. I mean, I'm not going to vote for Trump because he's mean. He's... Thoughts on the stupid Titanic sub situation? I'm not going to get into it because it's both depressing and just bizarre. You know, I'm not going to get into it. Christie's trying to be Trump. Is Mario a Republican or Democrat? I never liked those questions about, like, is X a Republican or Democrat? But he's an Italian plumber, right? A blue-collar guy. So, there's that. But probably a Democrat. I don't know. Really don't know. We should nominate Becky Edwards. I will be making a video on Becky Edwards, by the way. Be prepared, because... You thought Adam Kinzinger was a Democrat or a rhino? You haven't seen anything yet. Should Attorney General Myers be the nominee in 2025 to replace Youngkin? Yeah. I never say his name correctly. I don't know why. Let's see. We need to nominate... There's a couple good chats right now. Italians are conservative. I know, but it's like, I don't know. He's from like New York. I don't know. A New York plumber that's Italian. That's like a unique combination. But let's see. Mario's voice actor is Chris Pratt, who's conservative. I know it's Chris Pratt, but I wouldn't call him conservative. Yeah, he goes to that one church, but like didn't he denounce it? I wouldn't call Chris Pratt conservative. Is he, like, woke? I don't think so. Compared to other people, but it's not saying much. I just don't think he cares. Cringe for lateness. Yeah, he's trying to emulate Trump with this. So. Italians. Yeah, there's a lot of chat about Italians in this right now because we talked about it. There's a special election in Utah 2nd November. Yeah, we got. I don't care how much it takes. We're not letting Becky Edwards win. You think Nancy Mace or Adam Kinzer's bad? You haven't seen anything yet. I mean, Becky Edwards makes Adam Kinzer look like Paul Gosar. I'm not even kidding. Wholesome DJ Aftershock for 2. Majority French Canadian towns in Northeast, in New England mostly vote Republican. I know that, but that's not Mario. He's Italian. But, yeah, I know that the French Canadians are a weird block voting-wise. But, the best content will be Marjorie Taylor Greene versus Loomer next year. Yeah, that's going to be... We may have to get, like... That's going to be fun when that happens. We need to gain more Italian voters and make northeastern states closer. Yeah, we have to. Like, they're becoming more Republican. Or I think they already vote Republican? Just some areas they don't, like the Northeast. Who is Becky Edwards? She's a resist liberal running as a Republican in Utah. She's pro-choice. She's pro-amnesty. It's freaking stupid. And it's like in the R+20 seat. It's like not even like a Phil Scott situation. Let's see here. Okay, I understand some candidates might drop out early and endorse Trump to gain a cabinet position, but who is Christie even trying to appeal to? I don't freaking know. The guy's nuts. That's my guess. That's just the best guess I got, everybody. Youngkin Zeldin 2028 or Youngkin Hawley 2028? Ooh. I think Youngkin Hawley is better policy-wise, but Youngkin Zeldin's better if you want to win an election. That's how I see it. I think both would win, but Hawley as VP would be a waste, though. Seriously, absolutely no one would give Christie cabinet spot. I don't know what he's doing. I think he's just delusional and thinks he could beat Trump, but... I agree. Youngkin is a choice for 2028 no matter what. I'm done with Trump if he doesn't. Yeah, Trump, this is last chance with Trump. And 2028, I'm going with Youngkin, Zeldin, or like Vance or something like that. Someone like that. Because DeSantis, let's be real, he's falling apart. He's now saying free trade is good and we need to get rid of tariffs with China. It's like, what are you doing? Let's see here. DJ Aftershock for 2. In Massachusetts, Democrats are Irish and Italians. Ours are French and English. Again, some of those voting groups that are white, sometimes they don't make sense. Is it because of the region that, I don't know. Spend Sports Network for 2. Where's Christie on the political compass? Ooh. Bottom right. Bottom right. You know, he's like, I mean, he came out against freaking... He supports transgender stuff in kids. The guy's a loser. I mean, that's the best way to say it. Let's see here. Italians Republican in New York. That's what I thought. But there's some states where like super Democrat still. Josh Hawley should be a future majority leader. I agree. But I'm just saying that it's really Youngkin, Zeldin, Vance, or Hawley. Because Youngkin and Zeldin know how to play the game well, while Vance and Hawley are perfect on issues. Like, Youngkin's good on issues, so is Zeldin, but they just know how to play the game better. So that's why they have a serious case for themselves. And they're not bad in policy either. They're just not as based as Hawley or Vance. Ben Cynics for 2. I like Youngkin / Vance. Unite both wins of the GOP. Yeah, I agree. I just don't know. Vance is VP, though. It's kind of a waste. Again, I don't want to get stuck with like a Rob Portman again. You know? If 2020 is Hawley, Vance, and Youngkin, I'm going to have a tough time choosing. Yeah. I mean, Hawley and Vance are perfect on issues. Youngkin, you can make the argument, has an easier chance of winning. Because he has a wider appeal. But at the same time, Hawley and Vance will get like the Trump base out. But also probably do better in the suburbs. So it's like, it evens out, I think. Santos / Kanye 2032. Yeah, so I actually agree with a lot of these people's statements about 2028. Santos Youngkin 2028. I mean, that would be the chaos candidate, honestly. Santos. I would probably vote for him in that situation. Yes, Bluefish13's here. Yeah, go follow him on Twitter. He's a Chad. Pretty good, pretty cool guy. Talked to him a lot. Youngkin advance would be the perfect deal for 2028. I think that's a tough one, though. I think Youngkin should be on the ticket, though. I think it's going to be, no matter what. Trump needs Florida and Ohio and thanks to the machine, and that'll be enough. What? Where's the town hall at? I think it's New Hampshire again. What he's trying to do, he's trying to get 10% of the vote in New Hampshire so he gets delegates and claim he's victorious. So, I would go with Zeldin Vance. I don't think Zeldin's ever going to run for president. I hate to say it, but, well, how old is he? How old is Zeldin? I don't think he's that old, considering. Lee Zeldin. He is only 43. He's younger than I thought. Okay, never mind. I thought he was like 50. But there's definitely a case to be made about Zeldin, Youngkin, Hawley, Vance, all of them. And it's not like the freaking DeSantis people, or DeSantis himself, who's just freaking bending the knee on everything. I mean, you can't just say, I'm for free trade. You're not going to win the Rust Belt saying that. Biden, he may be incompetent, but he still knows how to appeal to working class voters by saying, I support Made in America. He just copies Trump, but it's true. Someone mentioned Vance and Katie Britt ticket in 2028. Vance could win the Midwest and Britt could win the South like Georgia and North Carolina. True. Spend Sports Network for 2. Could Christie's appeal to progressives and wokes? No. Yeah, maybe in the primary, but not much more than that. He's just running, I think, to sell a book. That's just my opinion. Let's see. Zeldin will win. Sad DeSantis ruined his own political future. Pretty sure everyone was thinking of 2020 as a year for DeSantis, but I feel like after him running in 2024, his chances are gone. Yeah. The problem with DeSantis is the donors got to him. They promised him a shitload of money, and it's not going too well. And again, I'm not attacking DeSantis, but it's like, do you seriously believe running on free trade is going to win you Wisconsin? There's a reason Trump's the only Republican to win the 3 states since, like, Bush in 1988 and Reagan. Let's see. If Zeldin runs for president, I'll probably vote for him. I agree. You know, I'm a Zeldin's enjoyer on this channel, as many of you know. I made a freaking video saying he should run for president in the future. Okay. I think Christie is still a Golden Corral. Oh man, I love these chats. They're perfect. Wisconsin hates DeSantis. I wouldn't say that. I just still think he's not known enough. But he's blowing it. Oh my gosh. And there's Hold on. There's like 5 people here. Oh my gosh. There's only like 5 people here. I'm muting until like the fat ass shows up. Oh my gosh. And I know Christie attacked Zeldin. Yes, the guy that saved us in the midterms, but this is all that's here. Oh, they're speaking.
To meet the governor and chat and have a little round table. We'll we'll
Oh my
introduce him in a
gosh.
minute and doing a quick. He'll do a nice speech and then we'll do some Q&A.
That's his entire national
those that
base.
Don't know, I'm Jim McEachran, the chairman of the Derry GOP, and
This is
been around
perfect.
for a while. In fact, it was a little while ago I sat in the same
This is
spot.
Chris Christie, by
pretty
the
much
way.
the same setup with the governor and his wife. And as tradition would dictate in Derry, we
Oh
didn't
my
know what to do
gosh. There's
years ago.
how many is that?
Candidates
1, 2,
came in
3,
and
4.
We did a little history work in Derry and discovered that Derry was
I honestly
the area
want
of
to
the
see
first
Christie in
commercial
precincts
potato
with
farms
like
in the United
buffets to
States
see how
of
he does.
America, and other people do cute little
That's
things
just a
with the
dude's
various
living room.
candidates. And at that
This is
time,
New
my
Hampshire,
wife,
right?
Jody Nelson said, "Hey, I think I can get."
Oh my god, I
candidates on
don't
the internet."
care. I don't care about this dude. Just get the Christie. Don't break the stool. You notice he never sits on stools or anything like that? But if you look up Lee Zeldin's height, it says he's 6'6". Really? He's 6'6"? I gotta see that. 20 people. Oh, God. What is this guy doing? Is that a potato?
That I still have.
What the hell is this?
Chris and Mary Pat remember this, and we had some fun with this at the last camp.
Okay, you know what? We're just muting that. Nope. We're not going down this rabbit hole. We're gonna wait till Christie shows up. This is weird. Christie for Olive Garden CEO. I honestly, I don't think I've ever been Olive Garden. So, I may have gone there once, but could they not pay anyone to show up? It's a grift. I did not know Zell was that tall. I honestly did not know that. I thought he was like 6'3". Yeah, we got to increase the cringe for that potato thing. What the hell was that? When I met Youngkin, he was a giant. Yeah, well, Youngkin played basketball. He's like 6'9". Or whatever it is. Youngkin 6'7". This accurately shows the budget of the Christie campaign. He's still walking up. Oh my gosh. I always love the super chat or the chats the most because it's like freaking hilarious but like true at the same time. Oh my gosh, is he here? Is he pulling up?
Like I say, I've met them all, and Mary Pat would make an outstanding first lady.
Oh, quiet. We want Zell, or not, we want Christie, supposedly. I'll turn that off. He's holding up the potato. Where the left did the potato go? It just disappeared. Yeah, I'm just muting this part because what's happening? I swear to increase the cringe counter by smaller margins and have a better count of every single time someone screws up. Well, you see, I love just duplicating it because it's funny. Because the more cringe you get, it just like accelerates the cringe. Why is everyone there? Yeah, we're just waiting for this clown to show up. We want Zeldin. Yeah, I would pay attention to Zeldin. Ah, jeez. The next governor of Idaho, y'all. Donald Trump picking Nancy Mace's VP. I don't believe it. I don't care what Politico says. I don't believe it. Think Ryan Cook gets a job with Christie. I guarantee he's going to try to, all right, or something crazy like that. But apparently, it's not a good situation with Cook. I don't know if it's true, but apparently, got blacklisted. I don't freaking know. All right, that's what was said on Twitter. I don't know if I believed it or not, but yeah, bad situation, really bad situation. Ah, jeez, yeah, we have to increase the cringe even further. It turns into more of a cringe-o-meter. Yeah, well, it's kind of the point. The thing with, like, the cringe meter is, like, I'm not going to detail every single cringe. It just accelerates. If Rick Perry from Texas does... Oh, my gosh. Is he here? Oh! Bro, he's arrived.
Well, like, after that introduction, I should really just say thank you and go home.
Look at this video quality. This is freaking amazing.
Thank you all for coming on a beautiful night like tonight. We appreciate you taking the time to do it. But I will tell you, the fact that you're here is the reason why we come here.
Oh, my gosh.
Because in
why
New
is the
Hampshire,
quality so bad?
You all take it very seriously. You take the responsibility you have for vetting all of us as candidates for president very seriously. And on a night like tonight, all of you showing up tells me exactly that. So I'm going to try to be relatively short off the top and leave most of the time for questions for all of you.
His hand's in the pocket again.
Let me make a few observations first.
Why is his hand in his pocket like that?
If you had asked me a year ago if I would be in this race, I probably would have said no. What I really hoped
is terrible.
Was
there
that
we go.
Get a group
140p.
Of candidates who would do two things. One, would tell the unvarnished truth about where we are in this country right now,
oh my gosh,
and where our party is, so that all of you could really soak that in, because you have a lot of other stuff to be concerned about than just politics in this country. soak it in
Wow.
and really think
You're
about
telling me
it.
this for the first time.
And second, to try to bring the country in a different direction. I really think that over the
Potatoes in
last
the pocket.
2 administrations, for this one, and now this one even worse, they've divided us.
I want to meet who willingly
They
went to a
divided us
Christie
by
rally. I want to meet it.
Focusing on things that are small.
No, God
Really
damn it, no.
The small differences that we
No.
have amongst each other. Some of the small issues that they want to talk
Damn
about.
it.
They want to bring us into smaller and smaller groups so that we're comfortable, so we don't hear things that we disagree with. And what's that led to in this country? I think it's led to us being intolerant of each other and the differences of opinion. And I think you probably see it in your own social interactions. You know, folks who, before you could go to a dinner party or to a cocktail party.
Why is
or
equality
out to
so
a ball
bad?
game and people
What
could
is
start
this?
to talk about politics, especially up here. And what would happen in the old days was, well, you maybe agree or disagree on it. If you disagreed, you just kind of shrug your shoulders at each other. You disagree and you move on. Today, people get angry. And you see people getting up and leaving cocktail parties, leaving dinner parties, not wanting to talk to
This
each
is
other.
maximum audio, by the way.
It's the
I can't go any
divisions
louder.
of our leaders that
can't
have
go
led
any
us to
louder.
feel this way, to feel like every minute of every day you have to have your uniform on. And you can't talk to anybody else who's got a different opinion. What does that lead to us as a country? It prevents us from doing the big things.
Oh my,
And there are a lot
shut
of big
up.
things that we need to be doing as a country to make ourselves better. And to do that, we need everybody in the country to at least be listening to each other. We're not all going to agree. In fact, this country was set up to be an argument.
What?
The founders set it up to be an argument, to have all these different branches of government fighting with
What?
each other. But it was all towards accomplishing something and making sure that
Doesn't make any
everybody felt like they
sense.
were
Whatever.
heard, their opinions were considered, and then people came forward and accomplished what needed to be accomplished to solve the problem that was in front of us. And if you look at every stage of our history, when there were really big moments, we were lucky because we had presidents who decided to go big instead of going small. Starting all the way back at the Revolution, when we could have decided
It's a history lesson
to
again.
negotiate with Great Britain
It's another
rather
history
than declaring
lesson.
independence. But instead, we had folks like Washington and Adams and Jefferson who decided, no, independence was the only way to go. The Civil War, Abraham Lincoln could have allowed the South to leave and kept a smaller country. He
Oh
didn't.
my freaking.
He decided that the entire United States had to be kept together, a house divided against itself.
Who's that
can't
one
stand.
lady at the right? She
We
looks like
fought a
she just
civil
wants to
war and
leave.
sacrificed lives to keep the country together. And in World War II, FDR decided that the United States was going to go and be the protector of freedom around the world. And we were going to fight to throw Nazism and totalitarianism off
I don't
the
care
backs of
about
the people of
history
Europe.
there, guy.
the people of Japan. And we did it. Great sacrifice. But we did it. And in 1981, Ronald Reagan said, we're not going to coexist with the Soviet Union. We're not going to allow communists to dominate this world or any part of it.
You're just going to keep
And
going.
9 years later, the Berlin Wall came down.
You're just going to keep
And
going
for
about
every
history.
one of those big decisions, what happened to our country? We became bigger, more important, richer, more powerful. And the rest of the world became freer. We've got a lot of big decisions.
I still wanna
and
know
big
what he's
problems
talking
in front
about.
of us right now. And if you look at the horrible inflation that everybody is living with still, it was a creation
What is he saying?
of this
Garbage.
government. Spending and spending and spending money we don't have and bringing inflation up so that people can't afford to buy the things they need to support their families. We got to deal with the issue of government spending in this country, and we've got to say no to it. When I was governor of New Jersey, I inherited an $11 billion deficit on a $29 billion budget.
He's literally repeating the same exact speech
And
as
the
last time.
Democrats, who I inherited this from, told me that, well, we got him. He's going to have to raise taxes. It's the only way to fix it. And we didn't. We didn't raise taxes for 8
Remember
years.
Reagan?
And we balanced that budget all through cutting
Yeah,
spending.
why is his hand always in his pocket?
832 individual programs were cut in my first year to bring this budget under control. We can do the same thing in the federal government. It'll be bigger and it'll be harder, but we need to do it.
Bruh.
Because we're no longer spending our money or even our children's money. We're spending our grandchildren's money. Same thing with Social Security. In 11 years, if we do nothing, there will be a 24% cut in the benefits of Social Security that people get. How many people in this room, raise your hand if you collect Social Security? All right, think about what a 24% cut would mean to your standard of living. I guarantee you there'd be people in this room who would have to choose whether to pay the rent or pay the mortgage. Whether
It's
you
just sad.
pay the electric
that
bill
so
and
many
get
people
food
actually listen to
and
this
your
guy.
medicine and the other things you need. We can't afford to have a 24% cut
There's no Pat
in Social
Buchanan.
Security, but
wow.
to avoid
You're
it,
telling me this for the first time.
we're going to have to make some changes. And not changes for the people who just raised their hands, or even changes for people my age. I just turned 60 last year. Too late for me to change my plans now about what role Social Security will play for me, but for people in their 30s and their 40s, maybe we need to raise the retirement age. And how about for people who have done really well, even though they've paid into Social Security for their entire life, maybe they don't need it. Maybe it's time we say to some of those folks, you know what, those Social Security taxes were what you paid to make this country better for everybody.
I thought you were against taxes.
I don't think that Warren
Wait a
Buffett
minute.
needs to collect Social Security. I don't think Mark
Didn't you just say
Zuckerberg is
5
gonna
minutes
need
ago you're
Social
against
Security when
taxes?
He gets to be in his
Didn't
60s.
he say that?
Doesn't seem to me that a lot of those folks need it, but right now they get it. We got to have those conversations. And lastly, what's America's role in the world going to be? Now, I love people who say America first. Who is not for America first?
You.
Like, could you imagine raising your hand? I'm for Luxembourg first. I'll go Belgium second. How about America third? Like, it's the easiest thing in the world for any politician to say, right? I'm for America first. Of course we are. That's
You're
not the question. The question is how. How do we make America first? How do we keep America first? And I don't believe it's by filling in the moat and pulling up the drawbridge. And people in our party right now who are saying we shouldn't be spending money or doing anything anywhere around the world. It should all be right here in this country.
Yes. If it's not an
Well,
interest
let
of the
me
United
suggest
States,
to you
we have
that's
no
not what
reason to
makes
be
this
involved
country
in it.
the freest and richest country in the world to begin with. It's because the rest of the
Taiwan
world
is a
they can
different
depend on
situation,
us.
though.
They
Not freaking.
traded with us.
Not like Afghanistan.
That
We have no
became
reason
the
being there right
engine,
now. It's
the
not our
economic
interest to
engine
be
for the
involved.
rest of the world. And we got competition now, much different than the competition we had with the Soviet Union. That was a military competition. They could never compete with us economically. They were a failed system. See, but our new adversary, they learned from us. They learned from watching. And China has developed an economy which is creeping right up on us now.
Yeah, this is a word for
And
word
they
the same
learned
speech.
from us because
Wasn't
they
he a good
stole
speaker
from us.
before?
And they continue to steal from us. Steal our ideas, steal our intellectual
Potatoes
property,
controlling him.
and then use it for their own, to make their own profit. And we've let them do it.
What?
That competition is going on right now, and it's not just going on between us and China. It's the rest of the world. And who are they going to side with? Once again, the rest of the world's got to pick who their dance partner is going to be. And if we're staying here and we're not going to pay attention to the rest of the world, let me guarantee you who their dance partner is going to be. It's going to be China. And I don't know how you feel about that, but I'll tell you the way I feel about it. That I don't want the Chinese Communist Party dominating the world. I don't think that's going to make us safer.
Nobody is
I don't
saying
think
that.
it's going to make us better off economically, and I don't think it's going to make us freer. Because they don't care about freedom. This is a country where people can't say what they want to say. They don't even have to think what they want to think.
This is awful. This is worse than his
This is
announcement.
a country where they tell you how many
Because at least the
children you can
announcement
have.
was different. This is the same exact
This
speech.
is a country that, when COVID came, everybody, no matter where you lived, what you did,
When's the next Trump
had
speech?
to
I believe it's
listen to
Friday.
whatever they told you to do and get locked down. It was almost like living in New Jersey, I have to tell you. It was
What?
tough. And That's the kind of world that they want, a world where they can control the people in it. And Ukraine, by the way, is the first of those battles.
What?
Chinese are paying for the Russian war.
What?
They're paying for it by buying Russian oil.
Oh my,
They
that's
buy
the
more Russian
dumbest
oil than
thing I've
anybody else
ever
in the
heard
world,
of.
and they are paying
United
for
States,
the weapons
hold on.
that the Russians
Let
are
me
using
mute this
to kill
clown for a
Ukrainians
second.
right now.
Ah, yes, the United States of America is buying, bought oil from Russia 10 years ago. They're supporting the war in Ukraine now. What? What is that logic?
To Tallahassee, let them know it's already started. The proxy war has already begun.
No, it's not
And
a proxy
if
war.
we don't pay attention to it, we can't
Increase
possibly
cringe.
win.
Oh, yeah. We're up to
See,
100,000
I'm
already.
for making America first by winning. By going out there and winning these battles. And they're going to be tough. But they always have been. At all those big moments I just talked about, think about it.
He's a
America
big...
sacrificed. I want to be president because I want to do those big things. Not the small stuff. The small stuff is what divides us. The small stuff is typically what gets argued about around bar stools and at ball games. And it's the stuff that animates our public life, right? But let me ask you a question. Something we've all watched lately. Two big American businesses, Anheuser-Busch and Target. Now, Anheuser-Busch went and did that series of Bud Light ads that it appears the majority of America didn't really care for.
Doesn't
And
this
how
guy
is
support
America
transgender
telling
stuff?
Anheuser-Busch they don't care for that? They're telling them by not buying Bud Light. And you see, if you go into a liquor store now, you can get as much Bud Light as you want. It's all on the shelves there and marked down at a discount price. And Target did some stuff that parents were very uneasy about. So what's happened to Target? Sales have gone way down. Let me suggest something to all of you. The government had nothing to do with that. Yet you have people in this race making it the centerpiece of what government should be doing. Why should government be involved in any of that? We can fix it.
Because our kids should not
We
be
the
sexualized.
people fix it ourselves.
You
By
dumbass.
deciding what we're going to support,
missed
what
the
we won't
big-
support, what we'll
whoops.
pay for and what we won't pay for. And we send a very clear message. See, I don't want the government doing it because I don't think that's what conservatism is all about. We don't want the government involved in all that stuff.
What?
Because let me tell you, one day the government's going to be doing stuff you agree with. 5 days are going to be something you don't agree with. How are you going to feel then when they're using the power
They
of
should
government
not be
to do that?
sexualizing our kids. Why is this a controversial
I
thing
don't
for
want
this
us
bozo?
making decisions with the government telling us what to do.
The
I
Gooberman.
want you to decide. That's what being conservative is really all about.
No,
Last thing, and we'll go to questions, is
oh my God,
Jim
people are actually
mentioned
ask questions.
that I worked in the Trump administration. Well, only kinda. The one thing I did in the Trump administration was I chaired the Opioid and Drug Abuse Commission as a volunteer while I was still governor of New Jersey. And I did it because I care so deeply about that topic. And I know it's a topic that matters to a lot of people in New Hampshire. And it should matter to everybody in America because last year 110,000 Americans died of a drug overdose. It is now the leading killer of men between the ages of 18 and 34. And
This is actually
I
a
chaired that commission
serious
because I
thing.
cared
I'm not gonna
deeply
increase
about that
cringe
issue.
for
The
this.
president gave me the chance to do it. I accepted it. We came forward with 120 recommendations, all that were adopted by the president, and over 60 of them were adopted by Congress as well. And we were really starting to make some progress on the opioid problem. And then COVID came. And not only did it stop us from doing the things we needed to do on the opioid crisis,
He looks
it made the
awful,
opioid
by the
crisis
way.
worse.
Is it just me?
because people were shut in. They lost
Free
their
market
jobs,
is when 5 massive
separated from
companies
their
run
families,
90%
their
of
friends,
everything. That's actually true.
and drugs became an even bigger part of their
Look
lives.
at the big
So
media
now we're gonna
companies.
see
They own
even
like
more
90%
deaths,
of everything.
unfortunately.
It's not even a joke. Or the
That's why I did
BlackRock,
that
I
job.
should say.
So if I did this job for President Trump, why am I running? Because you have read he's running too. I'll tell you why. It is the greatest honor or privilege anybody in the world could get to be president of the United States.
So he's running for
It is the most
ego.
important
He's
responsibility
just running for his own
and
ego.
honor that we can bestow on anybody.
This guy's
And
like
when
not
you
worth
get
our
that
time.
honor,
So we
it
got a
seems
couple
to
super
me-
chats. I don't usually mute, but when you got bozos like this, we're ignoring them. All right, God's make AR-69 nice for 5. Krispy Kreme is the polar opposite of Trump, where Trump is hilarious in a good way, and the beached whale from Jersey is funny for being cringe. I agree. That political guy for 10. Who do you think Stapleton's VP should be? They should allow Stapleton to be his own VP. I mean, he's an immortal anyway, and no sane politician would impeach him without getting stomped on in a re-election. I think Zeldin. Zeldin should be the VP in most cases, but yeah, back to the stream.
I chaired his transition. I played, this is going to frighten you, but I played Hillary Clinton in debate prep for him in 2016.
That
You won't be
explains a
able to
lot.
sleep after that tonight. And then I came back and
That's cringe.
I took some sedatives and I played Joe Biden in debate prep for him in 2020.
That explains
My
a lot.
point to all of
then.
you is, I'm a Republican. I
Bullshit.
ran against him. He was our nominee, and I was going to work hard for him.
So
So I didn't want Hillary Clinton to be president of the United States, and I didn't want Joe Biden to be president of the United States. So I worked hard for Donald Trump. So I'm not one of these folks who comes up here who someone could call a never Trumper. I
What?
wasn't. But on election night 2020, when he stood behind the seal of the president in the East Room of the White House and told all of us the election was stolen,
Christie.
that's when I got off.
Christie, shut up. Christie, we don't care about what you think of the election, either. We don't care.
He was telling us that anyway.
Go away.
And now it's 2.5 years later, we still have no evidence that the election was stolen. Yet, I watched him 2 nights ago.
We're just gonna mute this part because, like, not worth anybody's time to hear this bozo speaks. When he speaks like this.
How you prove when someone is saying something that's so
Backpedaling.
demonstrably wrong that they're wrong? Except that, like, tonight, when it gets to be bedtime, Joe Biden is sleeping in the White House, not Donald Trump. And in the whole time that he was president, all we did was lose. In 2018, we lost the House.
That's a
In
midterm.
2020, we lost the Senate. In 2020, we lost the White House. In 2022, we lost 2 more governorships. another Senate
Wait, hold up.
seat.
Did
We
he?
barely won the House of Representatives.
Wait.
The president in the White House, whose job approval was 30.
Wait a minute. He just blamed Trump for being in the White House, and that's why we lost 2022. Did I hear that correctly?
The last
What?
2 nights, it's all about how things were unfair to him.
My God.
Where everybody's not being nice to him. It's not about him. And it's not about me.
you.
It's about the country. And let me tell you, everybody, I'm running against him because he disappointed me
You're cringe.
and he let us down. We hoped he was going to be a president who was going to get different kinds of things done for us, and he didn't. He said he was going to build a wall across the entire
He
border.
did.
You remember?
They did.
I was
The
on stage in
archive from the
2016 with
Immigration
him.
Border
The most
Secretary, or
big,
whatever it's
beautiful
called.
wall you've ever
The border,
seen in your
whatever.
life.
Hold on.
Across the entire border.
There was an archive from the government. This is right from the border security, wherever it was. They archived it. It was like, they show the map of the completed wall. The only part that wasn't finished was the border with Texas. Go look it up. I'll bring it up, actually.
He said he was going to repeal and replace Obamacare.
Let me bring it up.
And he had a Republican Congress, and he couldn't
You
get it done.
had to deal with Paul Ryan and
He said he
Jan
was going to
McCain.
balance the budget in 4 years. And he left with the biggest deficit of any president in America.
Because what happened in 20... Oh, my gosh.
He said he was going to retire the national debt in 8 years. And he added $8 trillion to the national debt in 4 years. Look, it's not that he didn't do anything right, but he didn't do enough right. And
You're
now,
cringe.
when all you've done is lose politically, and you haven't done what you promised to do, if that resume came across your desk to hire him in your business, I think you'd say, maybe not. The Democrats have been unfair to him.
They have.
Absolutely true. I'll agree with him on that.
Bruh.
The press has been unfair to him. I'll agree with that too. But you know what? Who cares? That's the way it always is. I was in New Jersey for 8 years with a Democratic
Well, that explains
legislature,
a lot.
the New York media market, and the Philadelphia media market. Let me just say, there was never a great news day for me.
You had like an 80%
Right?
approval.
And I never had a day where I was being warmly embraced and praised by the Democratic legislature. It's the way it goes.
You had an
You're gonna
80%
whine and
approval.
moan
Don't
and
try to revert
complain.
history, you clown.
Go back to Mar-a-Lago and play golf. And I'll end with this. The most disturbing thing I heard the last 2 nights was when they asked him, when Brett Baer said to him, when you got subpoenaed to give those documents back, why didn't you just give them back? And I'm sure everybody in this room has thought that over the last few weeks. Like, why didn't he just give them back? Did you hear his answer?
Whoops.
His answer was, I was too busy
Sorry about that.
to go through all the boxes. Too busy to comply with a grand jury subpoena. Too busy. And what he said was, you know, I had a lot of stuff in those boxes, like golf shirts and golf hats and pants. Like, I shouldn't just give them away. I just want you to think about that. Oh, by the way,
Beast.
in there also was a battle plan to attack Iran.
That's not
nuclear
true.
secrets for our allies.
That's not true. Where's the proof of
intelligence
this?
documents. That
Where's
would
the
put
proof?
at
Show me the
risk
documents of this.
the national security of our country, and were gathered by men and women who put their lives on the line to get that information with his golf shirts and his golf hats and his pants.
How is that Trump's fault?
I don't know what he's been doing for the last 2.5 years. But I can guarantee you, if it was me, I would have put a couple of hours aside to go through the boxes.
Bullshit.
And when the government subpoenaed me to give them back, I would have given them back right at the beginning. But when you get
Oh,
the
yes.
subpoena,
Even my personal
I was a
documents. I'll give
prosecutor
them
for 7
everything.
years. You know what you know? They're serious. And it's time to have respect for the rule of law and give them back. Or, if you think they're wrong, sue
500,000.
them.
Yeah.
And say, no, we didn't do any of that.
He sued
sat
them,
there
you
and told the story for a
bozo.
lie.
What?
This is not the resume of somebody we need behind the desk of the Oval Office
bruh.
again. And our party can do better, and we should do better. Because let me tell you something. If we nominate him, we run the real risk of having a rerun, not of The Apprentice, to have a rerun of 2020.
Oh, my gosh. That's Scott Walker 2.0
You
right
think
there.
Joe Biden's bad as president at 80. Wait till you take him in at 84, 85, and 86.
He ain't serving a full term.
It's not going to be
no
pretty
way.
for this country. And we will have to stop it. So I'm back because I want to stop it.
Oh, I'm back because I'm going to win the
Back
election.
because
Totally.
I want to do big things for this country.
Shut up.
And get us winning again and on the right track as a
You
party.
had a 5% approval in New Jersey.
And I'm running because the truth matters. It matters. It's not negotiable. It's not debatable.
The truth matters.
truth
Yeah,
matters.
I'm going to make stuff about Trump.
And we need a president who's going to tell the truth again, directly, even when you're not going to like it. So let's get to that. So I'm going to take your questions.
Oh, thank God.
I think we're in a good enough room here that maybe we don't need microphones. I can hear all of you. And I'm just using the microphone right now to save my voice because, you know, when you're running for president, you do a lot of talking. So I'll use this for a little while, but let's raise your hand. Whoever wants to start. Yes, sir.
Thank you for this opportunity. Governor Christie, I know there's so many world events to deal with at the moment, but
I can't hear a single thing.
I
Bruh.
think co-pilots will roll over in their graves and we'll start to get another country. What
Um,
anything on your agenda would be
I don't hear anything.
to get rid of some of the old stuff?
I can't hear anything.
Look, I'm all for term limits. I was for term limits when I was governor. We have a guy in the state legislature in New Jersey who's been there 50 years now. 50.
Jeez.
You know, my point is, like,
He
if you
muted
haven't gotten
himself,
it done
I
in
think.
50 years, maybe it's just time to go home, you know?
Term limits are
and
cringe.
nobody is
Age limits.
indispensable enough. Nobody.
Paul Gosar.
And the proof of that is,
Andy Biggs.
you know, in my state, I know we don't have
It's
it here,
max.
but in my state,
This is the
governor
loudest
has
I could
term
put it.
limits.
I can't
I
go
have
any
2
louder.
terms. We have a 2-term limit for our president.
Which is
I think
bad.
there should be term limits for everybody.
No.
I think the term limits should be for the folks in the House. They get 6 terms, 12 years.
That's,
And for the
bro.
folks in the Senate, they get 2 terms.
Just do an
12
age
years.
limit.
If you go to Washington for 12 years and you can't get done what you want to get done, which is 4 more years than any president will get, it's time to go home. Now, let's be honest about it. The hard part that's going to be, the Congress has to vote term limits on themselves.
I'm for age limits. I agree, not term limits. No.
I'll give you an example of how crazy that stuff is. In New Jersey,
I know
the
Gorsar's
legislature
not
never
looking too
considered
well,
term
but
limiting themselves.
still.
In fact, what the legislature in New Jersey did was they passed a law that said that there has to be open records. Whatever, if someone asks for records from the governor, the governor's office, the executive branch of government, you want to see them, we got to turn them over. And they used to send open records requests to us. The legislature did. So I said, well, how come if that applies to you guys too? No. They don't have to turn over any of their records to the press, to the public, or to the governor.
What network is this on? This is on his
I want
YouTube
to be
channel.
honest with
That
you
explains a
about
lot.
it. I'm for it. If a piece of legislation came to my desk, I would sign it as fast as it got there. In the middle of the night, if it got there, wake me up and let me sign it. Whatever I needed to do, and if there was a constitutional amendment put forward, I would go out and campaign for it. So I think it's important to do because I do think people are there too long. And look, if you want just one example of it right now, look at Dianne Feinstein from California. Now, I've known her for a long time, and when she first came, even though I didn't agree with much of what she was for, she was a smart,
I will support DeSantis
active,
if he's the nominee.
tough
Yes.
United States Senator for California. They're pushing her around in a wheelchair now, and she was out, not able to vote, not able to speak, not able to analyze for months.
Oh my gosh, this dude won't shut
People
up.
shouldn't stay that long. They shouldn't stay that long. Strom Thurmond on the Republican side was there till he was 100.
Yeah.
I mean,
There
look,
should be an age limit,
and this is
not
what
a term
happens in our
limit.
government sometimes. People care more about the title than they care about actually doing the job. Once they get called
Thank you for
congressman or
enduring this
senator, they
rant.
want to keep getting called that, and they want to stay. So I think term limits is a really important thing.
Age limit.
It's a very steep hill to climb. It really is. That's, I'd be honest with you about it. They've got to do it to themselves. Now, we can always impose it on them by voting them out. And part of the problem, of course, is that everybody wants term limits for everybody other than their congressman. Right? They're like, Congress stinks. My congressman's great.
Well,
my
we want
congressman
age
was
limits.
wonderful. I can keep voting her in. But all the rest of those people, they're awful.
Yes.
They should have term limits on them. So some of it is we've got to impose this on ourselves. And we've had people who have promised to only serve a certain period of time when they ran, right? And then all of a sudden they get amnesia. Well, we need to reinforce it. So part of the responsibility is on us. But as to the law, I would be totally for it.
I'm against
by it
term
as
limits.
governor.
I don't care. I'm just
Now,
against
the way
it.
term limits work in New Jersey is it says no more than 2 consecutive terms. So you could do 8 years, take 4 years off, and come back. Of course, if I did that, I would be divorced. So that would not be good if I decided to run for governor.
Run!
And I think Mary Pat
Do
would
it!
be whoever the new Mrs. Christie is will enjoy being first lady as much as I did
You had a 5%
when I did it for 8
approval,
years.
dude.
So I'm not going back to that. But we stood to our word, and but there was a law that forced us to do it. But I said I'd only serve 8 years, so I won't even go back now and do it again because I think that defeats the spirit of what the law is trying to say, which is you have a period of time. I loved my 8 years as governor. I loved every day of it, even the bad ones. But you got a time. You got your moment to do it. And I think it should be that way for everybody. You got it. Yes, sir. You use the microphone? Oh, live stream. Oh, I'm sorry. We're live streaming this over the website, and so they probably couldn't hear anything you said. So that's unfortunate. But I'll repeat most of it. You'll be famous anyway. Yes, sir.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Christie.
Thank you.
And thank you for bringing up the communist threat. And this is something perhaps we all need to be a lot more concerned about.
Who is this?
Let's hear more about what you're going
This
to
is
do
Lenin?
about communism here at home and abroad.
Well, look, I think that
Who the hell was that?
the communist
Was that
Chinese
Lenin?
drape themselves in kind of a quasi-capitalism. So they get dressed in a bit of a different clothes than the Soviets did. The Soviets were communists in every way. Socialist, pure socialist economically, communist in terms of their political philosophy, and dictators. The Chinese are all those things too, except they learned about a market economy from us.
I have
And they
several
thought it was pretty good.
questions.
Look at the Soviets. They have communism, and all these other communist countries, their economies stink. Well, look at the United States, Western Europe, and Japan, India. These are great economies. We should copy them. But they are no less communist than the Soviet Union was from the 1920s all the way up through when the Berlin Wall fell in 1989. So what do we need to do? We need to engage them in every way. So for instance, let's take something that will make me unpopular with my kids. TikTok is here in this country. It's a Chinese company gathering data on us all the time. TikTok should be gone. And the reason TikTok should be gone is not just because they're gathering data, but more importantly, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram are not allowed in China. If China wants to let those in, I'll let TikTok stay in here, because then we'll be competing on even ground. But we're not. Economically, we have to compete with them, and we have to bring home a lot of the manufacturing that we've outsourced to China. And the best proof of that was during COVID, right? We couldn't find, personal protective gear for our doctors and our nurses because so much of it got manufactured in China, and they were keeping it for their folks. We need to be smart about making manufacturing in this country again the way it needs to be. Third, we're in a competition around the world with their communist approach. And so we've got to engage with the rest of the world. And I think this is one of the places where President Trump and Ron DeSantis are most missing the boat. They keep saying, no, we're not going to get involved in that stuff. Well, the Chinese are. So if what we want to do is just cede the world to the communists, let's just pull back and put a fort around America and hope that they can't scale our walls. But we know, especially folks my age, remember vividly 9/11. And we know that no matter how great the two oceans are that protect our country, no matter how friendly Mexico and Canada are on either border, our enemies in today's world can come and get us. And we need to make sure that we're not just strong militarily, but that we're dealing with and creating allies and friendships around the world that help to protect us as well and protect freedom. I think lastly, we watch how they spy on us. We saw those spy balloons, which are just really the tip of the iceberg on what is going on with the Chinese Communist Party all the time, stealing our data, stealing our information, stealing our secrets. We got to fight them head to head on that. We've got to go fight them over there.
Yeah, this guy is just on drugs.
We can't unilaterally disarm in the fight for intelligence and for information. And so my point to you is that regarding communism, I'm not even going to deal with anything that's going on inside this country until we start winning the fight outside the country that they're trying to import in. And then with our folks inside the country who are supporting that type of ideology. If we have a strong, good president who's leading a strong and good Congress and doing the right things for this country, the communists will never win here. They never have and they never will. The chance they have to win is when we
I'm sorry, I'm
continue
just
to have
completely
a
bored on
government
my
that
mind.
operates the way it does now, where people are fed up and they feel like they're not accomplishing anything for us.
Politicians
That's
thinking we're
when
holy
the
for.
alternative points of view start to get a hearing. And that's when we're in danger. And so we need a president who's going to be strong and direct and tough on all of this stuff. But on your behalf, remember, when COVID started, Donald Trump said, President Xi's handling the whole thing. I trust him. It turned out he changed his tune a few months later. But I'll never trust President Xi. He's a communist. He's not to be trusted. And
I still don't get what's going on.
We need to have someone who understands that. And just because President Xi might say something nice about me one day or write me a nice letter, I'm not going to think I can trust him. I'll read the nice letter, and I'll take it for what it's worth. But I'll know every day that what he wants is to be the dominant country in the world. And that's not good for us. And it's not good for the rest of the world either. So that's the way I would deal with that. And I think we need to deal with it strongly, directly. And you need to know that there's going to be sacrifice involved in it, like there is in any fight. But losing is not an alternative. because it will change our way of life in a way that none of us would want to see for our children or grandchildren. Not yet. I'll get to you. Yes.
Hi, Governor Christie. It's wonderful to meet you. My name is Jana Lee Moquin. I'm from York, Maine, and I'm a Democrat.
Bro, whoa, what?
How about that? I'm intriguing. It's good.
You like that? I'm good.
You know the last person who said that to me? You remember. It,
Is it a good story?
it was Oprah Winfrey.
Oh, hey, I'll take that.
Oprah Winfrey said, "You're the most intriguing politician in America." I don't know quite how to take that, but I'm taking it as a positive from you for sure. All right.
My question is kind of broad-ranging. I'd just like to hear your views on foster care in the United States and what you would be interested in doing to make it better. Thank you.
It was a really interesting question and personal for me in a way that you probably don't know. My youngest sister is adopted, and she was in foster care for 2.5 years before we adopted her. And so,
Yeah, I wonder,
have
a Maine Democrat going to New Hampshire Town Hall for Chris
relationship with
Christie.
foster care that luckily, for my youngest sister, was a good one. She had a wonderful foster mother who really
I
took
love
care of
how we're
her
like
from the
2.2
time
million
she was about
cringe
3
already.
months old, until we adopted her at 2.5. And she came to us with a great sense of who she was. And I've always thought about this woman who was an older African-American woman who lived in one of the tougher cities in our state. And she took in young children and cared for them in her older age because she really loved kids and she wanted to be a positive influence on them. That's the foster care system at its best. Now, we know also that there are lots of examples in this country of the foster care system at its worst, where kids are being abused, where people are in it just for profit, and they don't treat the children in a way that gives them a sense of self-worth and self-confidence. And I think this is an even bigger issue as we all think about the issue of abortion in this country and how it's changing. And we need to be pro-life for the whole life.
I agree. I actually
Not
agree with
just for the
that.
9 months in the womb. It's easier then because the challenges aren't nearly as great usually. But when kids are born, as anybody who's parents in this room could tell you, that's when it gets interesting. That's when it gets challenging. That's when it can be difficult. And we need to make sure that these children that are brought into the world are cared for in a way that's responsible. So I think we need to do much more in terms of the funding that we do on foster care.
I actually agree.
If we're going to evolve into a more pro-life country, which it looks like from the way things are changing around the country, you're going to have more children born and fewer abortions.
Good.
If that's the case, we've got to be ready to deal with the challenges for those young mothers, for the ones who keep their children, and for those who put them up for adoption or give them up to the state because they either don't want to or can't handle the responsibility. We have to make sure that we have a strong enough safety net underneath that to support foster parents in a way not only monetarily, but in terms
Did you
of
just
training.
take off 200,000 cringe
educate.
just because you said we need to be
And it
pro-life?
can't just
Yeah, I'm
be
being
that
nice
you bring
here.
these kids over
Sure.
and the foster
Shush.
parents have no training and no experience in doing what they're doing. And I think that as we go further into this issue, it's not just foster care, but it's adoption too. And how do we make adoption easier? How do we make sure that those adopted children have all the information they need? Because so many of today's diseases are genetically based. And I know with my own sister, she wound up marrying someone who was adopted. And so now her children, in the way the law was when I first became governor of New Jersey, had no ability to get their information to find out what is their genetic makeup, what should they be looking out for, what should they be concerned about. And we changed
Really?
a bunch of those laws in New
Fine.
Jersey for people that
I'm
have
being
access to
nice.
those
I'm
records
taking the cringe
to be
down a
able to
little
find
bit,
out
but
what they're all about.
man,
If we
that's like
want
the
to
only
evolve into a
time.
society that
He's
that
a completely
considers,
awful.
as I do, every life
The
an
bare
individual gift from
minimum.
God, and that every life is precious, well, then we have to be practical about that too and understand how are we going to help to make those lives feel that way about themselves. Because when the foster care system or any parenting system breaks down, what you find is those children wind up being so troubled because they have
Old
no
talk, no
sense of
substance.
what it's
True.
like to be loved and what it means to have self-worth. And so everything we do in that regard,
And
I
he's
think,
rambling now.
should be moved towards establishing a system which makes any child who enters it leave it feeling a sense of that they matter. And
That's
we're
honestly
lucky,
not a bad answer.
you know, that we were able to find my sister and be able to adopt her. And I'm not going to say how old she is now because I would get in a lot of trouble. This is being live streamed. But she's significantly younger than me. And, you know, we all in our family feel like she was an enormous gift to us. It was not something that we did for her. It's something she did for us. And hopefully we can get that culture moving all the way through the country by saying that we believe no matter how that life came into the world, that it's precious, and that we need to have a system that makes those kids feel like they matter and they have value, because they do. And that's the way I would try to approach it. And I think a president can affect
How
that
exactly
by
tell
funding.
us policy?
But a
Yeah, I'm
president
just,
can also affect that
I'm
by the way
giving
he
him the
talks
benefit of
about
the doubt because at least it's not completely
and
cringe.
leadership
It's
is
such a
is
low
about,
bar, I
at
know,
times,
but still.
persuasion and making people think about something a little bit differently than they ever thought about it before. And we've seen this country move in a lot of different directions over time. We were in a country that went to war over race in the 1860s, and all the way through to the 1960s, still having great battles over it, and we still have conflict about it today. But we've seen
What?
leaders like Lincoln, like Frederick Douglass, like Dr. Martin Luther King, who, just through the power of their words, were able to change minds and change hearts. And I believe we can do it on this issue, too. Got it. Yes, sir. Wait for the microphone, because you want all the people who are watching to be able to hear your wisdom.
I don't have any, I'm sorry. My name's Alex Rodriguez. I live in Melrose, Mass., just south of here. And you talk about how, you know, the truth matters, right? And when you look at the previous administration, they use terms like alternative facts, and they use we had the former president at the Republican National Convention say, "I alone can fix it."
Yes.
And as a former prosecutor,
Increased cringe.
certainly you could see, the alarm bells, should have been going off for everybody.
What?
And I used to work in the United States Senate for a Republican senator, and have never voted for a Republican since 2016.
What?
And I'm just kind
Bruh.
of curious, and I'm very intrigued. I think was the word you used. Yeah, very very intrigued by your candidacy as well. But
So it's
because
it's
I
Bush
believe someone needs to
Republicans.
prosecute
That's essentially who we're
political
dealing with
cases
here.
against the former president. And I'm just wondering, how did you get to the point where you are now?
Why does this look like a video game
I know you
cutscene?
said it was after the last.
I don't know why,
election,
but it just looks weird.
I guess how do you plan on prosecuting that case, and how do you plan on winning it, even if you don't actually win the primary?
Well, first off, my intention is to win. So let's start with that.
Yeah, you got like 5 voters. Congratulations.
Because I've had some folks in the media write that, my job in this primary is to defeat Donald Trump whether I win or not, as if the two are divisible. I suggest to you they're not. I suggest to you there's one lane to
What
the
is that
Republican
dude taking a
nomination for
picture
president,
of?
and Donald Trump's at the head of it. And if you want to be the nominee rather than him, you got to go right through him. And I don't think that the other candidates in this race who literally won't say his name. You watch. And I bet you all are going to go to a lot of town halls. We're not married yet. You're all going to be dating and seeing a lot of other candidates around here. See if they bring up his name. See if they say his name out loud.
Yeah, because at least they're trying to be smart about it. Also, didn't DeSantis attack Trump?
That Joni Ernst had in Iowa, And they each got up to speak for
He's
8
saying the
to 10
same thing
minutes.
over again.
Not one of them mentioned his name. How do you expect to beat someone if you won't even mention their name? Are you hoping that all of you are going to go, yeah, I think he's talking about Trump, but I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to prosecute the case the way I prosecuted cases when I was a prosecutor. Assemble the facts, lay out the facts clearly, directly, without fear or favor, and count on the jury of the American people to come to the right decision. I don't think there's any other way to do it. Now, look, there were things that he did all throughout his presidency that I didn't agree with. And when
Yeah,
I didn't,
we know
I had a
that.
platform on ABC News every Sunday where I could say it, and I did say it. And he would call me and yell and scream about, like, why are you saying
Based.
stuff like that? I would get a lot of awful phone
Yeah,
calls.
'cause you're working
in the
for him.
hour
Why would you
drive
bash
between
him in
me
public,
Midtown
bro?
Manhattan and our home in suburban New Jersey, where he would be
Yes,
letting me
I'm
have
working
it.
for the President of the
But I
United
told
States,
him,
but I'm
I
going to
don't work
bash
for
him
you.
publicly.
They pay me to give my opinions on Sunday. And when I disagree with you, I'm going to say I disagree with you. Look, he did some good things. So let me say those. I think the tax cuts were good. I think the regulation cuts were good. I think the Abraham Accords in the Middle East were
Oh,
a good
finally you
accomplishment.
said something good.
But that's
Took you
not
5
enough.
years.
And worse yet, he doesn't put us first.
Like you would?
Everything he decides is based upon what he thinks is best for him.
Whoops.
And the bad news for him is he's not right even half the time about what's best for him. And you watch that interview the last 2 nights. I'm telling you as a prosecutor, he, in that interview, I guarantee you that interview will be Exhibit 1 in the trial on the classified documents. Because he essentially, 2 nights ago, admitted to willful obstruction of justice. Yes, I know I was subpoenaed. Yes, I know that they wanted me to give the documents back. I didn't have enough time. I was
That's not
very
what he
busy.
said. That's not what he said.
I-
That's not what he
No,
said. He's lying.
That's not the way the rule of law works. But here's the problem. That he believes the law doesn't apply to him.
That's not what he said
He
whatsoever.
believes it.
Let me
And
mute
so-
this guy. I again, in hindsight, Trump probably should have done that interview. But either way, you read what he says. He never said, "Oh, I'm just ignoring them." He said it was a dispute. We were going through the documents, and we were disputing over what documents I can keep. That's not a, "Oh, I'm ignoring a subpoena." That's not what he said at all.
Last night, which was excellent. Brett could be a pretty good prosecutor himself. He went through all of the people. Donald Trump said in 2016, I will hire the best people. The very, very best people want to work for me, and I will manage them like they've never been managed before. And Brett Baer started to go through the list of people. Rex Tillerson, his first Secretary of State, who was the former CEO of ExxonMobil. When he hired him, he said, he's the personification of the American dream. When Tillerson disagreed with him and was leaving, he called him dumb as a rock and lazy as hell. Now, which one is true? Look, you can't say I'm the smartest and the best and I only pick the best people and then say, but I hired a guy who was dumb as a rock and lazy as hell. Either he was dumb as a rock and lazy as hell and you should never hire him.
Adam
or he
Schiff got
wasn't,
censored?
and the only
Really?
reason you're calling him those things is because he's
My gosh, GOP did something.
I would say to you, knowing Rex Tillerson, Bill Barr, Mike Pompeo, General McMaster, General Milley, General Kelly, his chief of staff.
He didn't attack them. He attacked Milley.
General Mattis, his defense secretary, first time.
Well, if they
Esper,
suck at
his
their
second
job,
defense
they
secretary, who's
suck.
a honors graduate from West Point. He has said nothing but awful things. He called Bill Barr a gutless pig.
Yes,
2
that's
nights ago.
based.
I don't know. He's been Attorney General now for 2 presidents. And by the way, was Donald Trump's biggest defender on the Russia stuff. His biggest defender.
Anyone with 5 brain
Yet-
cells would be.
That's what he calls him now. I just want to ask all of you, is that who you want
Yes.
as president?
Yes.
You want somebody who will do that to folks. I'll tell you why I never went to work for him. I never went to work for him because I couldn't work for somebody like that.
Well, hold on, time out. Didn't he say
Who
he
would
worked
treat
for him?
Another
Hold
person
on.
like that.
Chris Christie.
When General Kelly became chief of staff, he called me and he said to me, look, everybody tells me you know Trump better than anybody. Can you come down and have lunch with me and give me some
he literally
advice on
worked
how to
under
work for him?
Donald
I
Trump
said,
for
General,
a
I'll
year.
come down and have lunch with you anytime, but I can give you the advice in 45 seconds. He said, well, I'm a general. I love efficiency. I said, well, good. Here it comes. I said, today you are trading at 100 cents on the dollar, and you will trade to zero. It is inevitable. You will trade to zero. He will say you are worthless, and he will fire you. The only question is how long it will take.
Yeah, he
And
did
he was
work
dead
for him.
silent on the other end of the phone.
That's what I thought.
And of course, 18 months later, he said that General Kelly was born with a small brain.
Bro, this
Couldn't
is
be chief of
based.
staff.
This is what Trump is
That's why he
perfect
fired
at.
him. Born with a small brain. A 4-star general who was and is a Gold Star father. Who
If they
raised
suck
his
at their
son,
job, that doesn't
who joined the
matter.
Marine Corps and was killed
Oh
in
my
Afghanistan.
god, it's like that one meme when like Miley has more medals than freaking Eisenhower. That's exactly how it sounds in this situation. Hold on, let me bring that up. Hold on.
When he said John McCain wasn't a hero because he was captured. Right? We let it go because it was an entertaining TV show. And his opponent was Hillary Clinton, the luckiest man in American political history to actually run against Hillary Rodham Clinton, who was, and this is not my opinion, this is
Look
objective.
at this.
She was the least popular major presidential candidate on election day in the history of
Bullshit! Bullshit! Bullshit!
Here's her problem.
This is true, by the
She
way.
ran against Donald Trump, who was the second most unpopular major
That's
political
bullshit. I can look it
candidate
up right now.
in the history of polling on election day 2016. So he ran against the only person he could have beaten.
This is who he's praising. He has
She
so
ran
many
against the only person
medals.
she could've
Look
come
at
close to.
Eisenhower. He has nothing.
Look, the case will be made, and I will make it. You know, I started off by talking about what I want to do, and I'm going to spend most of my time talking about what I want to do. But you want to beat the incumbent, and that's what he is. He's an incumbent in our party. He's had the nomination the last 2 times. Then you have to beat the incumbent. And Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, Asa Hutchinson,
Ass Hutchinson.
the rest of them, Vivek, all the rest.
Vivek?
Vivek, who's now out there saying he wants to pardon him on the first day.
Yes.
I mean, before any evidence is presented, before
Yes.
the trial happens, before we know whether he needs a pardon or not.
Yes.
Because in our system, I want to remind Vivek, he's presumed innocent. And the
You're
government has
not.
to prove him guilty. He doesn't need a pardon right
He's
now.
Christie literally
He
said
needs a
5
good
minutes ago
lawyer
he's
is what
guilty.
he needs, but
so
doesn't need a pardon. They can't win if they're not going to make the case against them. I've been watching now for months, and they're not making it. I've been in this race for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And I went from 0 in New Hampshire to 9%, 4 points behind Ron DeSantis in 3rd place, him in 2nd. And I've only started 2 weeks. I'll be here a lot, and I'll be making that case. And I don't know whether it means I win or I lose. I don't know. But guess what? No one else does either. Because you know what Donald Trump's numbers were on June 21st of 2015? 4%.
that's a big difference.
4%.
He was a
Anybody
former
tells me they know
incumbent
what's gonna
sitting
happen
president. He won an election, and he quote unquote lost another one. He still has a majority of the party that likes him.
Thank you for your candidacy. Want to know what, in your opinion, happened to the Republican Party? We know that Trump lied about the election.
Bruh.
But why did so many of our fellow citizens believe that? And why do so many today believe it? Like,
This
what
is a
happened
Bush
to the party
Republican.
and what happened to our fellow citizens that they would buy into that?
Well, look, I think the first thing is that people want to believe the President of the United States when he says something. So let's go back to election night when he said it the first time. I think, and that's why I emphasized that he stood behind the seal of the President in the East Room of the White House. There's a majesty to that. There's an importance to that. And the American people think he must know something we don't know. He's the President. So that's the first thing. So it starts
This is awful. I'm just muting this for now because he just keeps going on and on and on. Yeah, this entire crowd has to be paid.
And he couldn't bear it. Just couldn't bear it. What's happened since then? Well, this goes back to having your uniform on all the time, right? If you won't let the facts invade you because you have your uniform on all the time, I'm going to be with my team no matter what.
I'm just pushing
This
this
is
up.
what you get. And I've been a Republican my whole life.
Bullshit.
But
Wait, wasn't he a
doesn't mean it
Democrat
gives
before?
license to
Wait a
other
minute.
Republicans to lie. And when they lie, I'm going to call them on it. And instead, we see, because the differences between the parties right now are so vast, that people say, well, geez, I don't know if I want to say something bad about another Republican, because Joe Biden's so bad. Maybe we just stick with not saying anything bad because I don't want to make us any weaker. The mistake in that, in my opinion, is
Christie.
by ignoring the truth, we make ourselves weaker. Joe Biden, if Donald Trump would have been willing to tell the truth during his presidency, if he would have told the truth about COVID, if he would have done the job better, Joe Biden would have never won.
I'm pretty sure he was a
never won an
Democrat at one
election
point.
outside the state of Delaware, except for that one. Ran for president 3 other times, never won. So, the fact is, the truth would make us stronger. Not telling the truth makes us weaker. The other piece of this, too, is remember, people are scared of him. When he calls, Bill Barr, a gutless pig. Like I'm from New Jersey. That's just like a day at the supermarket.
Then why are you making
No
a big deal about it?
Like people call me names, I don't really care. But for a lot of
Yeah,
people
you were
in
the
this
most
country,
unpopular governor in
the
history.
idea of having the President of the United States call you out personally, directly, on his True Social feed or his Twitter feed or on national television scares the hell out of him. And that's how that explains some of the politicians. They're worried to death because same thing we talked about with term limits, right? The one term limit they're really afraid of is the voters. And they were afraid in a primary to say anything bad about
I
Donald
cannot
Trump
believe there's like
because
two
they
people
knew
that actually
he
support
would be
this guy.
vengeful. Anybody who disagreed with him was going to get it right across the forehead. And you had a lot of people who just weren't willing to take that risk. The question for us now is, I think these two motivations have come together, wanting to win and get rid of the Democrats.
Oh, I want to
and
win
getting
so
rid of
badly.
Donald Trump.
Bullshit.
Because if he's the nominee, I'm telling you, everybody, we're going to lose.
You're
lost
polling
20,
at
we're
like
gonna lose
1%. I don't want to hear
And then
it.
Joe Biden gets 8 years. 8 years to do what he's done in these first 2.5. I don't even want to think what this country's going to look like then. And that's what we've got to be thinking about now. We have to be thinking about how do we move on. I don't, for a minute, believe the American people don't care about the truth. I think they do. But we live in a world right now where the truth depends upon what
This dude just keeps
news
going
station
on.
you watch.
He won't stop.
And so, if you just watch a news station where they say opinions that you agree with, and let's face it, this happened with Fox. We know this from the Dominion lawsuit, that the hosts were saying one thing on the air, and then
I don't know what to say. Trump was beaten by him by 2.4. Yeah, even if I think that's probably not going to hold. It's like statistically he's full of shit.
the media, we have to call them out on it, even if we like the people, even if we generally agree with the people. They still need to be held to the truth. So this is going to be a test for our party over the next 9 months or so. By the time this is resolved, it's going to be a test for us. And by the way, I'd say to the people in New Hampshire, you have a privileged position, at least with the Republican Party still. The Democrats want to go to South Carolina, let them be the first step on the road to defeat. But you know what? We're counting on New Hampshire. The truth is counting on New Hampshire.
Hey, Rap, how long has
Don't
Bozeman
abandon
speaking
it.
for? Over an
Because let me tell
hour.
you abandon the truth, your position in selecting future presidents is going to be at risk too. Because people are going to say, well, what makes these guys so special? They missed this 3 times?
What?
3 strikes, you're out. At least in baseball. So that's
I
what
need
think
something
we have to
more than
come
that.
to
I'm
grips
just losing my brain cells at
And
this.
every person who stands in front of you over the next 9 months, ask them the same question. And if they don't answer it as directly as I do, interrupt them and say, you want my vote? Answer my question. Why are you defending his lying? Why are you defending the big lie that the election was stolen?
Bro,
There's
okay,
no
we gotta
evidence
mute this guy.
Why
He is just annoying. What policy is he even running on? He's running on Blumph. That's literally what he's running on.
Or not, they should be crossed off your list, in my opinion, immediately. Nothing else they say can be believed if they're willing to lie to you about that, just to make sure that Trump doesn't come and take a shot at them. Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming, Governor. Another Massachusetts voter. You spoke about...
Why there's so many voters from
We
Massachusetts?
can't talk about it at dinner parties and cocktail parties without fighting. It appears to me that Congress is that way now, too. There's no civility in government anymore. That the two parties can't work together, and we've elected them to govern for us. What can be done? Can anything be done? From the Oval Office or from anybody to try and...
Orange Man Battery.
So they can work for us
Yeah.
and accomplish something.
Sure. Look, I will give them some credit. I think that recently Kevin McCarthy, President Biden deserves some credit for this too, and Democrats in Congress.
Oh,
on
so
the
he's
debt ceiling.
he's praising
They
Biden
came
more
to
than
an
he is
agreement on
Trump.
that.
Just
They
get the
reduced
hell
some
out of
spending,
here.
And they raised the debt ceiling because, you know, if they hadn't done that,
I am this close to just ending the stream. This is awful. My brain is melting at this. It's just like he's worshiping Biden, but he's attacking Trump. It's like, who are you appealing to? I don't know. I am very tempted to end this, but I'm going to power
has to
through
lead
it.
by example. Right? So I'll tell you what I did in New Jersey when I got elected. So I got elected, and I had a 24-16...
Have to persevere. It's
or
getting
25-15
tough, too. It's just a
minority in the
slog.
Senate.
He
And
just
I had
keeps
a
talking
48-32
and
minority
talking
in
and
the lower
talking.
house. So it wasn't like one vote or two. I was going to be able to swing it around. So what I did during the transition was the new Senate president lived about 2 hours away from where I live. So I got in the car one day and I said to the troopers, this is before I was sworn in, I said, take me down to Senator Sweeney's office. He said, it's not on the schedule. I said, yeah, I know it's on the schedule.
Okay, we got a super
go.
chat. Somebody else can find the answers. Ben Cynics for 2. Why is Christie a Republican again? Yes. That's the answer.
The president wasn't expecting you. And I said, yeah, I was just in the neighborhood. I decided to stop by. So she said, well, he's here. Let me go get him. So he's embarrassed because he came out. He had just come from working out. He didn't expect it. He had no appointments that day. So he was in sweatpants and a T-shirt and sneakers. He's like, Governor-elect, I didn't know you were coming. I said, I was in the neighborhood. I decided to stop by. And he goes, your neighborhood's 2 hours from here. You weren't in the neighborhood. I said, come in the conference room. Let's talk. And I sat down with him. And after we got done catching each other up on our families, an important part of developing these relationships, because you become a human being and not just a political figure. I said to him, Steve, look, we can do this one of two ways. I said, we can yell and
I'm
scream for the next
completely
4
reminded of
years
how
and make
boring
headlines.
pre-Trump politics were.
He said,
Yeah,
I
Trump
said,
is the
for
one that
next 8
like
years.
made this
He said
entertaining.
4 years. I said, no, 8.
Like fist fights and stuff. I want to
said,
see some
or
fights.
we can
I
decide
mean,
we want to put touchdowns in the end
politically
zone.
or maybe physical.
So you
That's
tell
not
me what you wanna
violent.
do.
But point is, I want
I
to
can
see
do it either
something
way.
entertaining.
And he said, are you serious? And I said, yeah, I'm deadly serious. And he stood up and he put his hand down. And this is the guy who's the president
Swift
of
for
the Iron Workers
president.
Union in New Jersey.
flex
That's his
tape
day
guy.
job. He stood up, put his hand
Dear
down.
Lord,
and
how
he says
long
to
is
me,
a speech?
You want to put
How
touchdowns
long
in
is
the
this guy
end
going to
zone? Let's do
speak?
it. We shook hands and we kept our word to each
All right,
other.
we got a super chat. Sierra Tan for 2. Just want to say thanks for the stream. No problem. It's you guys that power the stream. So if you guys are still entertained, we're going to power through this just slog of a freaking town hall.
We expanded charter schools, the most charter schools
mean,
that were ever established
Woo!
in state history.
Yay.
Passed a repeal of the estate tax.
We're back dueling.
We passed funding of our infrastructure program, the Transportation Trust Fund, new funding that had not been put in place for 25 years. We did all those things together. Every one of them was bipartisan. But I don't think it would have happened if I hadn't gotten in the car and had that meeting. and then stuck to my word the rest of the time. And we had some, I'm not going to say, we had some bad moments. We had a budget one time that we disagreed on that we ultimately came to a resolution on, but he wasn't happy. And I
Elections should
remember
be
going
decided
down
by wrestling
the end
matches.
of my driveway to get the newspaper
I kind
on
of
Sunday
agree.
morning, and the headline in
Just
the
do what
state's
Trump
largest
did.
newspaper was,
When you vote for Christie
Sweeney
Zeldin
calling
ticket. Christie hates
Christie, and
Zeldin.
this was printed
so
in the paper, so
that
I
ain't
hate to use
happening.
this language, I'm going to. Front page of the paper, Christie is a
This
prick,
is so boring.
was the headline.
Yeah,
And the
it's
subheadline
not even
was,
entertaining.
"I wanna
It's
punch
just
him in the head."
bad. It's worse than his announcement
So we had
somehow.
some tough moments. We had to come back from that one. But we did. And I think that's where presidential leadership makes all the difference in the world.
Bipartisanship.
You are the one person that all of the people of this country elect.
Bro, what are you talking about?
And so if you're willing to make political sacrifice, if you're willing to take political risk to work with the other side, it
He
will not
deserves
only
5 million
get them,
cringe for
some
making
of
my
them, not
brain
all of them.
rot and lose
Some of them,
insurmountable
come on,
brain
come your way.
cells.
You don't need all of them. Just get a
Innumerable
few.
amount of brain cells. I'm literally falling
And
asleep.
it
This
will
is
teach
CIA
the
level
people on your
torture.
side that you can win
Okay.
doing that. Because believe me, I used to say this all the time. He would, sponsor a piece of legislation, and he would convince me, it was okay, and then I'd sign it. And the way the newspaper wrote it was, the governor enacted this law. The governor enacted that law. I mean, his name would be on the jump page. He used to frustrate him like crazy. But I used to say to my party, we get credit for all that because I'm the executive. And I think you've got to be willing to do that. I learned how to do that for 8 years.
I got an interesting
And
poll
we haven't
that
had
I
a
just
president
posted in the chat.
who's known how to do that since George W.
Yes.
Bush. George W. Bush did it, and I think he was starting
Is
to
he
do it more
praising
than not
Bush
having happened
now?
and changed his whole presidency, but he was working with Ted Kennedy on education reform. He
He's
was working on
praising
immigration
Bush.
Reform. He's doing a lot of things at the beginning of the presidency because he had had that experience in Texas where he had a Democratic lieutenant governor.
That's
the
completely
president of the Senate,
different.
who he had to deal with. And he learned how to do it. But since then, who have we had? Barack Obama, who spent a couple of years in the state legislature in Illinois and a couple of years in the United States Senate, never had to worry about negotiating with anybody. Donald Trump, no, not interested
He was
in
a
negotiating with
businessman.
anybody. And now Joe Biden, who I think has flashes of it, but quite frankly just isn't up to the job anymore. He's incapable of doing it.
He's
You need a certain
worshiping
amount of energy
Biden. Are you
and
freaking
patience
kidding
to do
me?
this too.
This
Mayor
is
Pat
just
will tell you, I used to get
sad.
those calls
This
from
is not even
Steve Sweeney
funny. This is just
11,
pathetic.
11:30 at night. He
The
was coming
people
home
there
from
look
some
like they're
party
falling
somewhere.
asleep.
And those were not
Yeah.
often pleasant conversations. But you got to do it to develop those relationships. In the end, that's what it is. Look, we got big problems, but this country passed, the Civil Rights Act with Republican support and Democratic support in 1964. Ronald Reagan reformed Social Security the last time it was reformed in the 80s with Republicans and Democrats. It can be done, but it takes a lot of work, and it takes the president to lead and someone who knows how to do it. I think that's the way you do it. All right, now, I'll go back to you. This guy is a frequent flyer at our meetings here in New
That's
Hampshire, so
sad.
we're going to come back to
There's
you now,
some
my
guy
young man.
that
Let's go.
follows him.
Get the microphone now. You know the drill right there.
Who the hell?
All
He
right,
said
thank
big.
you, Governor. My name's Quinn.
Yeah, I
15
know.
years old. I'm sure you do. So currently your message is to attack Trump and repeat. And in my opinion, you have already drawn in the small group of Republican voters who hate Trump as much as you do. However, this message is not going to play into the larger electorate of Republican voters who are on the Trump hate wagon. We don't want them to. We don't want them to stand back and stand by. We want them to step down and rebuild
This is the
democracy.
pre-canned question.
What are
He
you
was
going
paid
to
off by
offer
the campaign.
that will help them step down?
Boo!
And thank you. And a side note, thank you for always taking questions. 50% of these events I go to when I prepare the question.
Boo
Hour-long
him.
speech, no questions.
Throw him off
It
the
sucks.
stage.
Thank you.
He was paid off.
Well, Quinn,
He clearly was paid off for asking that last part. Get out of
let's
here.
start off with it does suck. And let me tell you why politicians don't take questions. The politicians don't take
You
questions.
ignored the first
Or the
part.
politicians can't take questions. Okay? If you have confidence in yourself and a willingness to tell the truth, there's not a question in this room you wouldn't take.
Get out.
But when they don't, wonder if they won't.
The guy's
question
probably
you
an
when
election
they're
tour.
asking
I wouldn't
for
be
your
shocked.
vote. If you elect them, what are they going to be like?
Increase
When you
cringe.
give them the authority and the power and the status.
Who was that?
What will they be like? I can guarantee they won't be more responsive. They'll be less. All right. First off, I don't hate Trump.
You
So
do.
Let's start with that. Hate is a horrible word. And I don't hate him. I just don't respect him.
That's the
That's
same
different.
thing.
And I don't think he should be a leader of this country.
That's
That's
literally the
different.
same thing as hate.
I've searched my mind on this.
Do you have a mind?
And I don't
still?
think there's anybody in the world that I hate right now.
That was
There are
Rufus.
people I don't like. There are people I don't want to go to dinner with. There are people I wouldn't take their phone call. But I mean, I hate them. So let's be careful about using the word hate, because I think it's a really ugly, divisive word. And I'm not being critical of you. I'm just saying that I think for a leader to use that kind of word, boy, you better have a really good explanation.
Yeah, I
Why
wish
you
somebody
use
would
the
show
word.
up and
I
call
don't
him
hate
fat.
Donald Trump. In fact, there are
Should I
things
go to
about
New
Donald Trump I
Hampshire
really
and do
like.
that?
And by the way, up until
Insult him in front of
December
everybody.
2020, which was the
We
last
need
time
somebody
we
to do
spoke,
that. Like, not actually,
we
but
had
like,
been friends
troll
for
him a little
19
bit.
years. Went out to dinner with
somebody
him.
needs to go to
frequently.
these town halls and mess with them.
Not only just me and him, but me and Mary Pat with he and Melania. Mary Pat and I were at he and Melania's wedding. Right, so I don't hate this guy. But
Oh yeah, I should do a poll on the chat. I actually agree with that.
disappointed us. He let us down. And now he's acting like a petulant child. And we shouldn't reward that. And as far as the voters look, I don't know what the numbers are, really. But the number that gets used the most is like 30%. That 30% of the Republican primary electorate will vote for Trump no matter what. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not,
That's literally true.
because he's never had a campaign against him like the one he's going to have now. We'll see whether those 30% stay or not, and what percentage of them do. But that means there's 70% of the people who say either I'll never vote for Trump or I might vote for Trump, but I'm willing to consider somebody else. That's the largest percentage of people in the polls I've seen. It's about 45% of the primary electorate says I might vote for Trump, but I also am willing to consider
This is
an
still
alternative.
going on. We have another hour of this.
And then
at the
you've
bare
got about
minimum.
25% of the people say I'll never vote for Trump.
No Christie supporters.
So the whole first part of my speech tonight was about what I'm offering them. Doing bigger things. Taking on
Youngkin would do
inflation,
better in a poll.
taking
Well,
on
because
debt,
Youngkin's
taking
likable.
on Social Security. Expanding our role in the world to make us bigger, stronger, richer,
Oh, Jesus.
freer.
Free.
I didn't mention
Freedom.
tonight because
What does that have to
my
do with
staff told me I have to
Ukraine?
make my
I don't get
speeches
what that.
a little
Why?
shorter. So I cut this out. But like, I'm for a federal tax credit for school choice.
Okay,
I
fine.
think
That's
every
reasonable.
parent in this country should be able to choose where their kid goes. For
Yeah, I
K-12
saw that M
education,
shift got censored. Or
regardless
censored.
of their income.
Censured.
Now, my wife and I have
Sure,
been
son.
successful, and we made the decision to send our children to Catholic school because we wanted our children.
Yeah, we probably have
to go
another
to a
hour of
place
this
that was
chaos.
going to not only teach them the things they needed to be taught, but also reinforce the values we were trying to teach them at home every day. But that cost money, and fortunately, we were successful enough that we were able to pay that money. But that shouldn't be the determiner about whether you make that decision. For
I
your
heard
kid or
that.
not.
You said big.
And so
I
another
saw
thing
it.
I'd say to them is a federal tax credit for them to make the choice. You want to send your children to public school? That's great. I went to public school. All throughout K to 12, I was at a public school.
New record.
And I loved it, and I got a great education. My wife, K to 12, went to Catholic school. So where did our kids go? Catholic school. So if you wonder, I might get to run the country. But even if I do, I'm still not
What
running
is
my
he
house
even talking about?
on the big decisions. And so I think what you need to do, and what I'd suggest you're going to watch me do over the course of the next number of months as you show up is...
Yeah, I heard
to
Adam
do
Schiff got
two
thrown
things
out.
At once.
Oh, he got
Okay?
censored.
Quinn, we're going to do two things at the same time.
Censored.
I can walk
Yeah.
and chew gum at the same time. We are going to prosecute the case against Donald Trump because he is the front runner. And unless you convince people they should consider someone else, you got no chance. At the same time, you lay out for them why you would be the better choice. You got to do both, and I will do both. Now, sometimes the stuff that gets covered more is the stuff that I say against Trump. Well, of course it is, because most of the media
big.
really don't like him. And when there's somebody in the Republican Party who's saying direct stuff about him, it makes news. I get that. But don't you be fooled. You've shown up. You were there the night I announced. You were there before I announced, right? And
What
you
a-
heard what I've said.
Bro,
So
what a waste
you
of
know
money.
better. So I expect a better question for you next time.
Why would you
That
insult
wasn't
your
a bad
own
one,
supporter?
but I expect a better one. And the better, because you've heard me, and you know I'm not just talking about bad stuff about Trump, I'm talking about other things too.
Bro,
So
you just insulted
this is
that
an
guy.
educational
Bruh.
process for all of us. And by all of us, I mean all of us, including me. Because I learn every time I come and do these things and I hear questions because I hear what's in people's mind. That's the first foster care question I've gotten so far, right? And so you learn stuff by taking questions. And that's where those other politicians in the 50% or so of the category who don't take questions, that's what the other thing they're missing out on. They don't learn a thing. They memorize a speech. They come in and they spew it back to you with all kinds of applause lines in there and those little dividing things, right? I don't know, like, my state is where woke goes to die. I don't know exactly what that means, but people clap, right? Because we don't like woke, and if you don't like something and it dies, you're generally happy, right? I don't know what that does for America. I don't know. I guess we're about to find out over the next number of months. But he doesn't take any questions, does he? Not a one. You betcha. And let me tell you something. You don't want to elect someone who won't take your questions when they're in begging mode. We're in begging mode right now. You got what we want. Votes. Every one of you got one of them.
Just shut
And
up,
we're in begging mode right now. And if
please.
we don't care what you think when we're in begging mode, damn, man, once we win, we won't care a lick about what you think. And that's not what this country's supposed to be about. So keep showing up at all of them and report back to me on which ones are not taking questions. And we'll keep it up. And you keep asking questions and keep coming up with good ones, and I'll keep answering them. And I'll call on you every time you show up, just not first. All right? We'll move it around a little bit, but maybe one time I will call on you first. We'll move it around a little bit so everybody gets to hear. But everybody, seriously, this is the hope for the country.
We are screwed if
Right?
this is the hope.
I know, because we went through this before at one of the earlier ones. He's not old enough to vote yet. But he's getting there. He's close. And he cares enough now to be here tonight. That's good
Yes,
stuff.
I'm going to insult him.
Yes, sir, right back there.
Thanks again for coming.
Sure.
First of all, I'm very encouraged by the next generation of folks. That
We
are
are
making
screwed
it
if that's
this year.
next
Thanks for
generation.
coming. That's awesome. On a similar note, the teenage designated World Green Initiative person
What?
quoted 5 years ago today.
What?
I'll quote, a top climate scientist is warning that climate change will wipe out all humanity
What?
unless we stop using fossil fuels over the next 5 years. Run for your lives. Today's the day. It's been 5 years. So,
I'm glad I got here now.
right. So, in spite of all the hyperbole and the inflation that's affecting everything, those of us in New Hampshire feel a lot with heating oil. We all know at the gas pump.
Greta, that's
I'd like you to
okay.
talk about what your energy policy is
Yep.
going forward.
Well, first of all, let me answer it quickly, simply. I'm for everything on energy. I want us to get and develop every form of energy we can use to help make us a more efficient, more effective, and more environmentally safe world. So I'm for all of it. So let's break it down. There is no reason that we shouldn't be exploiting the oil and gas resources that we have in this country.
Basic.
I authorized the building
Very
of a number
basic.
of pipelines from shale in Pennsylvania into New Jersey, and we had the lowest energy prices that New Jersey has seen in modern times when I was governor, because
Somebody left.
we had those
Somebody's
pipelines built,
leaving.
and we
Look at
built
that. Look at the back.
more
He
of
just
those
left.
plants. Now, when we built the new gas plant, we closed the coal plant. So net from an environmental perspective, we were doing better, and yet still having a really reliable source
What a dog
of
shit
energy.
message.
Second,
We lost
and
a
you
bunch of
probably
people
don't know this, I
jobs,
don't
but
know
we
any reason why
increased the
you would.
environment.
But New Jersey, the most densely populated state in America,
Bruh.
53% of our electricity comes from nuclear.
Ooh.
The cleanest energy that is reliable
Never
and
mind.
existing right now, nuclear power, in the most densely populated state. So you think, oh, no way. You can't run nuclear power plants in a densely populated state. Aren't you worried about killing people? No. because we regulate them the right way and we run them safely. And it is a safe, low-cost,
Oh, he's sinking real
environmentally
quick.
pure.
Somebody brought
way of
up.
providing electricity.
Somebody brought up
We should have more
nuclear
in this
energy.
country. And if you could build it in New Jersey and operate it safely in those densely populated states,
It's a miracle.
There's no state that you can't.
I
do it.
love nuclear, and that's why he's going
And
down
this is why the policies
500,000.
of New York State have been awful under Andrew Cuomo and Kathy Hochul, because
Hochul,
it's prevented
the
those kind of
hooch.
pipelines that I talked about being built to be able to supply natural gas here to New England. And so you're dealing with the home heating oil prices that you are and the gas prices that you are.
Rare W. Christie. Yeah,
Am
he's
I
cooking.
for other green energy types? Sure. New Jersey, by the way, when I was governor, was the second largest solar energy producing state in the country.
That's a bit iffy.
I'm fine with that. Now, it's not reliable enough and not bountiful enough for it to run our state, but to contribute to the overall workload, sure.
I
why
agree
not?
with that. That's good. That's good.
I'm fine with that. But it's also important for us to develop our oil and gas for international purposes, what I was talking about before. China is buying all of their oil from Russia. Now, I don't know, but I don't think there's a, EPA in Russia. I don't think Putin's over there worried about like how clean the oil is being brought up from underground and how clean and safe it's being shipped. All he's caring about is getting it where it's supposed to get to so he can get the money. We have all of those protections in place here in this country. And I think it's really important that we're able to do that, to be a reliable supplier of energy, not only for everybody here in America, but our supply of natural gas is so plentiful that we can liquefy that natural gas and sell it to our
Nuclear
friends in
power is
Europe
good.
and other places. So they don't have to
Don't
rely
dispute
upon
that.
Russia for their energy. So I think we made a huge mistake from an economic perspective and from a strategic perspective in not exploiting all of those options. And so I would be for all of it. And I think for us, if you look at what nuclear energy is like today, for instance, compared to what it was,
Yep, there goes
when everybody freaked out at
all the
3
good
Mile Island
stuff.
44 years ago. It's much different today. And so we need to have oil, gas, nuclear, and there are and solar. If wind works too, if we could show a way that offshore wind works, I'm fine with that too. If it can work and we can get enough energy in, sure, I'm okay with that also. We should not say no to anything that helps to improve the livelihoods of our country and our standing around the world by being able to supply this stuff to other countries.
Bruh,
around
that's
the world.
cringe. America
and the
first.
last thing is, look, I'm not going to say that climate change is not happening. Of course it is. And it's the product of human activity. We all agree with that. There's more of us. We use more stuff. We dispose of more stuff. And that has an effect on the environment.
Bro.
But the fact that if we didn't stop using fossil fuels 5 years ago, we were going to wipe out all of humanity in 5 years, we are living proof, as we sit here tonight, that that turned out to be very wrong. And all but the extremists knew it was wrong back then. We need a president who is going to be smart about this and is going to allow us to exploit the natural gifts we've been given in this country, not only for our own benefit, for the benefit of other people around the world as well. So that's the way I would approach it.
Bruh.
So I sometimes just do this to make Carl like run around and be able to see how quickly he can get to you.
Well, thank you, Governor, for coming to visit New Hampshire, and also thank you for acknowledging the GOP not using our first-in-the-nation primary status as a political trading chip. This is something we take very, very seriously here in the state, and I think independent voters.
I'm just losing it right now.
Where the Democrats
It's
sit on
getting
that.
so bad.
I am a self-described Rockefeller Republican, and
Boo!
most of the country becoming an endangered species.
Boo!
New England. Where do you see moderate Republicans fitting into the Republican Party going forward? Is there room?
They're all the
under
same.
tent of the GOP
These are
for-
all
for
Democrats or
moderates
like
going forward? 'Cause it
Republicans
feels
from
like
30
that
years
our
ago.
voices are definitely being drowned out by
There's like
much
two of you in the
louder,
party.
much stronger voices from other parts of the country.
Well, certainly as the country's population moves and shifts, you're going to have differences like that. But
This the
look,
Twilight Zone.
I've always felt like there's room for everybody here. in the Republican Party who wants to be a part of it. And I think Reagan proved that,
10 core.
And so did George W. Bush, who was our last president who actually won the popular vote in this country in 2004.
Because he was
And
getting,
won the
oh my
popular vote since
gosh.
2004. And I think part of the reason that George W. Bush won it in 2004 was because he appealed not only to the conservative part of our party, but to moderates in our party and independents.
That's bullshit.
And
He won
the
because of
right-leaning
what happened in
Democrats.
9/11 and people
Because
trusted
somebody
him.
like John
That's
Kerry was
why.
too far left for them.
He won because of his popularity
I
after
think the
9/11.
party
That's why.
We'll get back to being who we are when we elect leaders who respect everybody who calls themselves a Republican. I'm sure if we sat down and we drew a line down the middle of a yellow legal pad and we gave a list of issues and we
I
compared our
guarantee you
positions,
he's not conservative on anything.
on a good day, maybe we'd agree on 60% of the issues or 70%. Ronald Reagan used to say, that doesn't make you my 30 or 40% enemy. It makes you my 60 or 70% friend.
I hate that alliance so
And I think that
much.
the leaders
He was
of our
talking
party
about
need to
like
have
90% of the time,
that
not
attitude
50.
about people who want to identify with our party. That there
You're
should
not
be litmus tests where
60%
you
my
have to
enemy.
agree
You're
on everything.
40% my friend.
Because the only person I agree with 100% of the time is me. I agree with me all the time. But nobody else agrees with me all the time. And by the way, you don't agree with anybody all the time. And so I think that part of the ethos you have to put forward as a leader is to say, on the important issues, let's talk and let's try to find a place where we can all agree. And when we can't, that doesn't mean you get kicked out.
Bro, why is he getting closer to him?
It just means we don't agree on this one. And let's see what the next one is. But it also is incumbent upon you then to say, if the party doesn't agree, if the majority of the party doesn't agree with you on one thing, unless it's an issue that's so principled to you that you
My
can't,
principles,
you
of
can't
course you
possibly
brought that up.
compromise, well then you have to leave if it's in your heart that way. But otherwise, let's move on to the next issue. There are always going to be issues to confront in this country, and we need smart, good people to be bringing in their opinions and being heard. And I understand why you would feel marginalized in one respect in some parts of the country.
Bro, it's not
and in some parts of our
1960
party.
anymore.
But I will tell you that if you think you feel marginalized, think about what a moderate Democrat feels like today.
Name
With
one.
the stuff that's going on in the left wing of the Democratic Party. They feel enormously marginalized too. So I don't think it's something that's unique to our party is my point. I think the two most extreme wings of the parties are the loudest ones. And so it feels like we can't be heard if you're at any other party except the furthest extreme on either side. I don't believe that to be the case. And the best proof of that is it's independents who determine our national elections. Donald Trump won independence in 2016. He won the presidency. He lost independence in 2020. He lost.
Because a lot of those independents became
And so we better keep
Republicans.
that
Do
in
you
mind as
not
a party all the
understand,
time.
bruh?
There's not enough of us or enough of them to win any election. The people who are not affiliated with either party are the ones who will ultimately decide who wins. And so I think we have to have respect for everybody in that spectrum. And that's the way I conducted myself as governor, and that's why when I ran for re-election, I got 61% of the vote in a blue state.
Because you had an 80%
51%
approval rating, then
Hispanic
after
vote,
that you had 2.
29% of the African-American vote. And against a female opponent, got 65% of the female vote. It's because they know I respected all of them. Because for the 4 years I was governor, I treated them with respect. And I went to places that didn't vote for me and did these town hall meetings. The best story in that one is the city of Irvington, New Jersey. 92% minority. The first time I ran there,
He's
I got
repeating
about
himself again.
350 votes total in the city. John Corzine my opponent got 12 times that number. I told my staff I wanted to go and do a town hall meeting there in Irvington. And they're like, you realize you got 350 votes, right? Like, no, I want to go. So a Baptist church in Irvington was willing to host us. So I showed up that day, and the pastor met me at the door, and he said, Governor, just so you're prepared, there's a lot of people in there who don't like you. And I said, it's fine, no problem. He goes, I'm going to introduce you and
I'm
bring
about to
you
end
out.
this right now,
But I
folks.
just, I know
He
you're
just keeps
getting
going on.
applauded and
He won't
everything.
shut up.
I said, don't worry about it.
He
That's
physically
what I know
will
is
not
what's
shut the hell
happening
up.
here. He introduced me, and I walked out to a majority of boos.
Good.
Before he walked out, I said to him, how many people are here? He said, oh, it's completely packed and people standing up because there's like over 500 people here. I said, great, I know what I'm going to do. So I went out there, they all booed me, and I said, look, you can boo me, I understand, I'm going to take your questions anyway, but I already won today because there are more people in this church than voted for me 2 years ago. So there must be something about me that's making you show up. And even if it's just that you're going to boo me, I'm glad you're here because then you have to listen to me. And we did much.
I heard that phone. Who was that?
Than we did the first time. And I believe it's because we showed up. I think the people of Irvington and like many
I love how
other
all of them
places
are starting getting their
don't
phones. You
go,
notice that?
they're ignored by us. Well, how are you ever going to persuade anybody if you don't show up? So I think our party has to take that attitude. And if we do, and I'm the president, we will take that attitude, then I think you'll feel a lot less estranged from the party than you feel now. Yes, sir. Thanks, Catherine.
Thank you for coming, Governor. So I know you talked about the former president. Let's talk about the current president and his son and the hypocrisy we call the DOJ. I know you're a former prosecutor. You said you were going to lay out the case for Trump. Can you lay out the case for Biden and his family?
Sure. I think it's ridiculous that it took the Department of Justice, and by the way, it was a Republican U.S. attorney in Delaware who was doing this, appointed by Donald Trump.
And of course, taking a pot shot against
5
Trump.
years to figure out that Hunter Biden hadn't paid his taxes. I think you could probably find that out with like one phone call as the U.S. attorney to the IRS. Did he pay any taxes in 2017? No. 2018? No. Did he make any money in those years? Yes. All right. Guilty. I mean, it shouldn't have taken 5 years to get to this point. And it makes people enormously suspicious. Now, I know he says the case is ongoing, the investigation is ongoing, and that this is not the end of it. But in 5 years, you should have been able to end it. And that's a failure of the Justice Department.
Doesn't this guy worship it?
On a case and bring
He literally
charges.
said like 10 minutes ago,
And
the
let me
Department
tell
of
you,
Justice
it
is a
looks
great
awful
organization.
what they're engaged in. And I am tired of having folks who run for public office, you know, think that it's a way to make money for their family. And the Bidens clearly have done that. Hunter has done it. His brother Jim has done it. His sister has done it. They've all made money off of him. Now, did they give some of that money to him? I'd like to find out. But it's wrong whether they did or they didn't. Because to have family trading off your name, off the office you got, in order to deal influence, and that's what they're doing.
It just keeps getting
access
worse.
and influence to people who want it. With the then Senator Biden, then the Vice President Biden, and now President Biden. It's wrong. And I understand why people will begin to
I don't
feel
get
like
why he doesn't. He
there's
literally will never shut up.
tiered justice in this country. Now, I hope that there's more to come on Hunter Biden. I hope we don't have to wait another 5 years
Please.
to see what else there is. But it's clear to me that the Democrats are engaged in some
At least
really
with
awful
Trump, he's
hypocrisy.
entertaining. This is just
And let me tell you, it's not
dog
on the tax
shit.
stuff. It's on the gun charge. Okay? This is a party that wants new gun laws every time you turn around. Every time there's a shooting in this country, they want new gun laws. Well, guess who sponsored the law that said someone who's a drug abuser or addicted to drugs has to reveal it on their application for a firearm, and if they lie, they're to be prosecuted? Senator Joe Biden. And now,
I would
his
rather
son
hear
violates
Biden.
that
Yeah,
law,
I agree with that.
And they're not
At
prosecuting
least it's
him for it.
funny bad. This is just sad.
And where do you hear any Democrats saying that they're
This
outraged
close to
that a gun
awful,
law
I agree.
hasn't been strictly enforced? Yet, they would be all over me and anybody else to say, we need more gun laws. How about enforcing the ones we have on the books already? And they wouldn't even enforce it against Hunter Biden, who bought that gun while he was addicted to crack. Who knows? We're lucky he didn't kill somebody with it. Right? Left it unattended, right? While he was dating his brother's widow. That's not a crime, but I don't know. I don't know.
We've heard this already.
And so I'm really angry at the U.S. Attorney
Yeah,
General.
I sound very
that
angry.
He wrote to Jim Jordan and told Jim Jordan that the Justice Department to give him full decision-making authority. He did not have to clear anything he did with the Attorney General. I'm going to take him at his word that he's an honest guy and that that's exactly the way it was, then shame on him. Shame on him for taking 5 years for a simple case.
Christie is so funny, I forgot
for
to
not
laugh.
prosecuting Hunter Biden under the existing gun laws that were sponsored by his own father. Shame on him for contributing to people having less confidence in our justice system. It's a shame. It's shameful. But I'll tell you one thing it doesn't do. It doesn't make anybody else's conduct less, right? So I think they were wrong not to prosecute Hillary Clinton, and I said so at the time. She should have been prosecuted, in my view. And if I were the Attorney General of the United States, I would have prosecuted her.
Yeah,
what
right.
she did with having those confidential files on her own server, and then wiping them out.
He's so full of it.
Looks like both a substantive espionage crime to me, and also looks like obstruction of justice to me. Okay, but here's the problem. The argument we're making as a party is, you didn't do it to her, so you can't do it to us. Well,
Yes.
all right, I'd be okay with that if we hadn't done it. If we hadn't committed the underlying conduct. So let's not give Donald Trump a pass because the Justice Department is screwed up. How about we fix the Justice Department?
Good
And if I'm
luck
President
with
of the United
that.
States, you can be guaranteed, having done this work for 7 years myself, that I'm going to pick an Attorney General and tell him or her, here's your job. Go and prosecute the highest, most prosecutable crime you can find against anyone without fear, favor, or partisanship. And by the way, don't call me. And if you talk to my attorneys general who served under me as governor, every one of them will tell you, and they've said this publicly, that not once, even though I was a prosecutor and I had lots of opinions about these cases, you can count on it, I never once spoke to any of them about a criminal case that they were investigating or prosecuting. And I used to get
I have
asked
no
about some
clue
of
he's
these cases
appealing
all the
to.
time by
I don't
press
know.
and press conferences, and my answer was standard. It was the same all the time. When I was a prosecutor, I hated when politicians commented on what I was doing, so I'm sure as hell not going to do the very same thing that I hated when I was a prosecutor. So we need a president who understands this business, who knows how it needs to get done, and picks a person who will not permit this kind of garbage to go on. And my view is the U.S. Attorney in Delaware should be let go tomorrow. Goodbye. You haven't done your job, and you should be let go. And
Finally,
let's
he's
move
supposed to be competent.
Let's fix this Justice Department. Because guess what? The alternative is horrible. You know, they say about our system, it's the worst, best system in the world. It's not perfect, but it's the best system out there.
What?
Fairness in law and order. In this
No,
country.
it isn't.
But only if you put people in there who know how to do it. And we haven't done that. Eric Holder was an awful attorney general. Loretta Lynch was an awful attorney general. Jeff Sessions was a weak attorney general. The only good attorney general we've had, in my view, since George W. Bush had John Ashcroft was Bill Barr.
Bruh!
And when you look at
You
Bill
gotta
Barr,
be kidding me.
you see him now. He doesn't pull any punches. When he thought that the Democrats were wrong about Russia, he came out and said it, and he stood by it. And when he thought Donald Trump was wrong about the documents, he came out and said it. Bill Barr will never take Attorney General again, I can guarantee you, after his last experience. But you need somebody like him who'll be tough and strong and smart, without fear or favor or partisanship. And that's what we'll do. So we'll take one more question, so I can let you guys out.
Thank
while it is still
God.
light out. Yes, sir.
Oh, we're almost there.
Got to take the microphone. There you go.
I'm a lifetime resident of Derry. I spent 5 years living in Parsippany, New Jersey. My 2 daughters were born in Morristown, New Jersey.
We're
My
almost
question to
done.
you is, what are you going to do as president to try to avoid us getting into a world war? In particular, Taiwan, which I spent a year over there also, but there seems to be too many things going on right now that would indicate that a world war, we're going to be drawn in to a world war. And
That's
I'd
actually a
like to
good
know
question.
What you're going to do about it.
Really good question, and important, probably the most important question. I think you're going to have to convince, if we have a world war, it'll be us and the Chinese. Everyone else will be players, but minor players.
Then who
And
gives a
that's
shit
where
about
it'll be
what
us
happened to Russia,
and
bruh?
the Chinese. And I think you need a president who's going to make it very clear to President Xi that the price of starting that is too great for both of us. This is not about just intimidating the Chinese, because if all you try to do is intimidate them, you're likely to rile them more.
What?
You just have to make the case to them that the cost to us and to them is too great.
Didn't he just say 5 seconds ago he would? Oh my gosh. He's flipping. He's flip flopping.
You can do it by ways where you're both being tough and where you're being smart. So they need to understand that they have a president now who is not going to allow them to build new islands in the South China Sea. Sorry. No more blocking the navigable waters of the South China Sea. No, you're not going to build a joint military defense in Cuba, which is what they're talking about right now. Because what I would say to President Xi is, you want to go to Cuba? That's okay. And we're building one in Taiwan now. Then he's got to start to think, hold on now. Who's more likely
That's
to
so
win that
stupid.
fight?
Why would you mention
Them
that?
being in Taiwan or me being in Cuba?
You never mention the policy on
You have to show
Taiwan.
them that
That's
they're gonna
always.
keep
Why do you think
costs
Trump never
associated
talks
with
about
every
it?
aggressive
He
move.
always ignores it. Says I
So
can't
that
talk
the most
about it.
aggressive move is one that they would never
Bro.
want to take. Remember, too, militarily, we're still superior to them. So we have a window here where we can make that case to them very strongly and directly. But that window's not going to be open forever. And so I think you're right that the next 4 years are going to be key to us deciding which way this goes.
Yeah, Taiwan's an ally. Yeah, it's not like
And
Ukraine.
It's going to be
like,
about
bruh.
being very clear, very direct, and not for a moment letting him wonder what you're thinking. Because there's no reason to play games with this. The stakes are much too high. There's no reason to be coy or clever. He knows, look, there's very little they don't know about us and very little we don't know about them. In the world today, with the spying that we're both doing, we know.
Why
most of the
would you
capabilities
mention
they have,
that?
and they know most of the ones we have. We may have a few secrets left, but not many, and neither do they. So you need to sit across from him and convince him you don't want to lose 200 or 300 million of your people.
It'd be
Because
way
guess
more
what?
than
If
that.
you do, you'll be one of them.
There'd be way more than
Because
that.
in that system,
in World War III.
a Chinese Communist Party leader who allows that type of thing to happen will be a casualty of that war, for certain. Because the people in that country are not going to put up with their sons and daughters going off and being killed in those kind of numbers.
What
and
are
allow
you
the leader to stay
talking
in
about?
place. So you need to make sure you make that case to him very directly. It's not easy. But if it was easy, everybody would do it. And I know that people could say a lot of different things about me, but one of them has never been that I am ambiguous, that I am unclear.
You don't
that I'm
say
unwilling
the
to be
policy. They just know now.
And or that I'm unwilling
Homer
to make
Simpson
a
got to
good
work
deal
at a
when I
nuclear
see
power
one.
plant.
And
True.
You need to be able to do both. And that's the way I would approach it. And I think the stakes are enormously high. You're right. And I'm worried. I'm worried less about if I became president. I'm worried about the next year and a half. Because if you're President Xi and you're looking at the politics of this country, you're thinking it's more likely than not a Republican's going to win the presidency if it's anybody other than Donald Trump. And so he may see this window of weakness under Joe Biden and say maybe that time to act is now. I would tell you that's what I'm more worried about than anything at the moment. And so that's why we as candidates need to be very clear about who
go
we are and what we do
away.
and how we conduct ourselves. And not just, pounding the drum and beating our chest. But, I found that more times than not, I'm more convincing when I don't raise my voice. People who yell and scream, you wonder how much of an act it is. But when you look somebody hard in the eye and you tell them with an even, clear,
let's see here.
steady voice.
Epic ZD for 5. Do you think Congress will try to invoke the 14th Amendment to disqualify Trump? They may try it, but I don't think it'd go well.
That's good. And on that note, that high note, but an important question to ask. Let me end with this for all of you. First, I want to thank Jim for being here. For being here 8 years later when I came back. It's really good. He's got another potato. I'm happy to sign it.
Bro,
I want to
that's
thank all of you for coming
cringe.
tonight. We have a long conversation to have over the next 7-8 months. And I hope you all continue to be
It's
part
done.
of it. And I encourage you, like I said, to
Shut
Chris,
up.
to go and listen to
Christie.
the other candidates also. It's important. Because you can't make a real decision, a comparison, unless you see everybody. So you all in New Hampshire have one of the greatest opportunities. People in other states in this country would die to have the opportunity you have. You know, to have people who are going to be, one of whom is going to be the President of the United States, be in your living rooms, be at your VFW halls, be at your local restaurants and diners, and you get to see them up close and make a judgment. Do it. Do it. And how about we pick a person for president who
Please,
we believe
just shut up,
is the
my
most
dude.
capable, most serious one. The one who we think will do the best job, the one who we think will put the interests of our people first. You know, we haven't done that for a while.
Please.
I remember Prime Minister Cameron from Great Britain asked me one time, explain your system. Like, I don't quite get it. You know, in Great Britain, their elections are 48 days long. That's it. 48 days. You can't run a commercial before. You can't run one after. You can't campaign. You got 48 days. Imagine if you only had us for 48 days.
He's still
How happy
talking.
you'd be.
He's still
You got us for a
going.
long time. Cameron said to me, explain the system. And I said to him, look, in America, you often don't get to vote for who you want to vote for. You get to vote for
Please.
who's left.
I beg of you.
Right? Let's have at least one good choice in November.
Yeah,
I
bros
think the
talk about
Democrats are
British
gonna give Biden.
politics.
And I don't think that's a choice at all. How about
Screw it, we're at
on the Republican
15
side?
million. I don't
Democrat in
care.
2020.
I don't care.
We've already seen that show. It wasn't that great. You really want, you remember that first debate between Biden and Trump? You want that 3 times?
Yes.
In November 24? Is that going to make us smarter?
Yes.
Better? That kind of conversation?
Yes.
He'll be arguing about Hunter Biden didn't do anything wrong. I'm proud of my son. He'll be arguing about I won the election in 2020. They shouldn't be calling you Mr. President. That'll be what it is. He won't be talking about what you asked about or what you asked about. They'll be talking about them.
Please.
Let's elect somebody who's going to talk about you. Let's have a better choice in 2024. I think we can do that. And New Hampshire is the place that is most uniquely situated to send a message to the rest of the country.
We've heard this like
If you care
5
about expanding our
times.
party, then how about we nominate someone who cares about expanding our party, not shrinking it? We nominate somebody who's worried about making our country bigger and better and stronger, not smaller and easier to manipulate.
Bruh.
New Hampshire, like New Jersey.
He's
is
going.
small, but with a large voice. And you have the largest voice of any state in this country because you get to speak first in a primary about who you believe should represent each party. So I'm counting on you to do the right thing. And if you do the right thing, then our country is going to be a better place. So thank you all for coming tonight. I appreciate it very much.
It's over. It's done. We're done. We're not listening anymore. He's done. He's walking away. Perfect screenshot. Oh my gosh. It's over. It's over. Oh. I don't know what I just witnessed. I don't know what to say. Oh my gosh, it's over. I don't. It's thank heaven. It's done. Oh my, I'm lost for words. What did I just witness? No. I did not just witness that. All right, if you got any questions or any more super chats, send them now. Any last questions or super chats, send them now or forever go in peace, because my goodness, I thought we hit the bottom of the barrel. Hold on, we gotta rank this speech. No, we are gonna do every single freaking Chris Christie town hall. I don't care, we're suffering through it. Why would anybody show up to these? I don't know. Okay. Rate town. Is it over? Yes. The town hall finally ended. Hold on. Sierra Tan has joined the channel. Thank you so much for joining the channel, good sir. Or man, I don't know, but thanks for joining the channel. Welcome to the lower council. Thank you very much. I'm getting the grade up right now. Don't worry. All right. Rate town hall. Rate it. Z. I don't think we've ever seen a town hall that bad. It's all F's. Look at this. It's all F's. F, F, Z, F, F. Negative Z. Look at. And some people voted C. Of course they did. Where's A? I want to put an A. Wow, rap. No. Stop voting C. Who put C? I'm done. I don't know what to say. But anyways, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. If you did enjoy this live stream, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the Twitter accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. If you have any last super chats, send them now or forever go in peace. That was certainly a stream of our time. I'm still baffled at what we just witnessed. I mean, was it possible to have it that bad? I didn't think we could have gotten any worse than we did when we hit the bottom of the barrel. A+, so quiet. That was no A. I just love it. Just love it. Worst speech in history. That's up there. All right, we'll see you guys in the next live stream or video. Godspeed.